I'm seeing the reality of us not engaging each other and making sure that our children learn how to communicate and play at an early age. You got 0 to 3, 0 to 4-year-old. The best thing you could teach a child, how to communicate, how to play, and how to listen. If you have a child that understands how to listen, they go to school. Because when they go to class, they can just listen. And my dad told me that one. He said, Daddy, the key to learning, Daddy, is you just got to listen. You go to class to listen. That's the first part. You practice. And then you're ready. She said, really, so hard. The teacher really explained it good. They didn't understand because nobody was listening. You are playing around, you're having a good time. And then you have those who might be a smart student that understand everything, but then they're harassing everybody in class because they don't have it, and you following them. Like, oh God, so like you probably did. So, but we have opportunities to change the place, and I'm going to continue to push to be able to change the Virgin Islands and change St. Croix.
Just need a big bag, I'ma get it so fast, I'm so fast. And when I get that money, I'ma make that last. Caribbean currency, we make that money last. We make it last. I just need a big bag, I'ma get it fast, get it fast, get it fast. I just need a big bag. I just need a big bag.
Welcome to another episode of Caribbean Currency, where financial literacy meets Caribbean culture. I'm your co-host Kyle. It's my co-host Redman. Large up my cameraman them Shad, Tristan, everybody involved. We here live in St. Croix, United States, Virgin Islands, the home of Queen Mary. Don't know, we in Legends Lounge. Large up dingo, the whole staff, everybody, for opening up our arms and our doors and welcoming us with open arms. But we are here today with a special guest. A man, a son of the soil, from St. Croix, United States, Virgin Islands. Big educator. Education is important to him, which is important to me too, and it should be to all of us. Former senator, former gubernatorial candidate, none other than Kurt Valley. What going on, sir?
St. Croix great again.
Make St. Croix great again.
That sounds like a MAGA slogan. We got to stay away. We got to stay away from that. That's a Democrat.
Maca, I like that. Make St. Croix great again.
Yeah, there you go.
What going on, brother?
I am good. I'm happy to be here.
We happy that, yeah.
Awesome,
I look at a couple of you guys' podcasts.
Yeah.
Quite interesting.
Yeah.
Quite interesting, quite informative. So
yeah.
I'm happy to be here and have a dialogue, have a conversation.
Definitely. See, we start, guys, usually when we sit down for these interviews. Like sometimes it'll be, we'll try to separate ourselves from the guests so we don't get too carried away with the conversation, because it's natural we're going to have a conversation once certain people in a room.
Right.
And so said, so done. We done about 20 minutes into the podcast without even pressing play.
Right.
So we had a real good conversation leading up to us actually pressing play and the record and the cameras. And it just goes to show the level of love and passion that all of us have for these islands. And I mean, we want the best out of these islands. We want to see our islands prosper and succeed. So like, thanks again for, receiving the invite and coming. I know he's a busy man to show up here, sit down with us and just chop it up. And we really appreciate it,
Yeah, and also too, for me, it's just, I told Sarah this several times, is I feel like when you could see your dignitaries every day, and I'd say to pressure too. If they're seeing you every day, you're going to lose your value, right? They're not going to really see you for how you're supposed to be seen. And we wanted to use the platform to actually just give you flowers as an icon in the community. So many children you raised and educated throughout the years, mothers, fathers coming up, and then leading us in the Senate as well. But before we get into, the politics and, the stuff Crucial and St. Thomas I go back and forth about, I personally don't know you, and I know a lot of us don't know you. We just know the senator. More Crucians know you, and I wanted to use this opportunity for you to kind of just bring us up from childhood, how St. Croix was, how it was for you coming up, what the vibes was in your time, what leads you to become who you become. And I want to start from the beginning. You know?
Okay, not a problem at all. I kind of smile when they say you know me as a Crucian because my last name is Vialet.
Yeah.
And Vialet comes from which island?
That's a St. Thomas.
That's a St.
St. Thomas. My father is a Ban St. Thomas, my grandmother is a St. Jonian, so I'm a Virgin Islander.
Right.
Okay.
My mom roots come from St. Croix. She happened to born in Fajardo, Puerto Rico.
Right.
But her roots is from St. Croix. I've been here a while, getting up there a bit in age.
Yeah.
I was raised in Christiansted. Most people don't realize I was raised in Red Brick.
Yeah.
The Hamilton Jackson Terrace. I lived in Princess, but from a baby, the person that took care of me was living in Red Brick.
Okay.
And I didn't want to leave Red Brick even when I began to get older. So I lived there until I was in 9th grade when she passed away. I went to Central High School. I'm a product of the Caribs, graduated in 1982. And then I went to St. Thomas, to what was then the College of the Virgin Islands. I went over not really knowing what I wanted to major in. I was a chem major first. I wanted to be a physician. And then when I got over there, started dabbling in math and fell in love with mathematics and became a math major.
Okay.
I graduated in 1987 with a math degree and not knowing what do you do with a math degree?
Yeah.
And what type of job do you get with a math degree?
Yeah.
That's not a degree that is out here that people are just saying that they want you to be employed. So my wife had graduated. She was my girlfriend then. She had graduated in 1986 from college. We were together in college. And she was teaching. So I was looking for a job, and she then said, hey, why you don't try education? They're looking for math teachers. They need math teachers. So I said, let me give it a shot. So I applied for a position. Didn't have any education credits or anything. They hired me, and they said, you need to go back and take some education classes to become certified. And from the first year, I just fell in love with education. I was like, this is what I want to do. I could have so much impact by interacting with children and teaching them and trying to guide them in the right direction. And I understand a lot of them. I understand those who come from middle-income family. I understand those who come from the project. I was raised in the project. So, and I was also, at that point, heavily involved in horse racing. So I knew all the elements.
Yeah.
So I stayed at the school and through the Department of Education went on to get a master's degree. Back then, they had a program. They used to pay for your classes once you were teaching. I got a master's degree in 1992. The year before I got the master's degree, the principal told me that they wanted me to complete my master's degree and they were going to make sure that I get an assistant principal position. So said, so be done. When I graduated, the principal retired. They interviewed me and I became the assistant principal. So I was assistant principal at Elena Christian from 92 to 95. 95, for the first time, St. Croix was going to get a second high school. So we had this large complex that was built under the Farley administration, open under the Steiner administration, that was going to open. I applied for the position of principal. And my wife was encouraging me, hey, you need to apply, you're doing a good job. I was doing a real good job as an assistant at Elena Christian, and I applied to be able to open the new high school on St. Croix. At that point, St. Croix had so many students that 9th grade was at the junior high school. So junior high school was 7, 8, and 9, and high school was 10, 11, and 12. So I interviewed for the position, and fingers crossed and everything else, I got the position. So I had a unique opportunity to open the newest high school in the Virgin Islands and to be able to literally design everything. So the uniform, I selected that, along with my a little crew I put together of administrators and staff.
Right.
The name Barracudas, we came up with a name. You know, we wanted a ferocious Virgin Islands animal, because you had chicken hawks in St.
not
Thomas,
quite a
so you had
chicken hawk,
rays.
but
So we were
we
like,
will go with the barracuda.
we got to come up with something that is going to strike fear and is very unique to the Virgin Islands. And a barra, everybody afraid of barra. It could poison you, it look dangerous in the water. So we said, hey, we're gonna name the school the barra.
You get chicken hot colors, by the way.
Yeah,
You know
just
that, right?
wanted to point
Just
out.
point.
But this is also my campaign color. Okay, so also blue and yellow.
Chicken hot colors, I get.
But had a wonderful opportunity to design the school and design the academic program. And when I was opening, I said we needed to start a math science magnet, because at that point I was trying to get more students from the Virgin Islands interested in those fields, math and science, and going to become engineers, doctors, and scientists. So we opened the first magnet school, a school within a school, at the St. Croix Educational Complex. At that point, we opened to a tremendous population of 1,600 students. Was the largest school on St. Croix. And it took us about a year to really get the school settled.
Are you struggling with having bad credit? Is having a bad credit score affecting your ability to get approved for the things you need in life? Well, guess what? I could help you out. I could get all those negative items removed if we're talking about inquiries, late payments, collections, charge-offs, repossessions, even bankruptcies. We could get those removed from your credit report. Go on www.credible-source.com and fill out an inquiry right now so we could get you to a better credit score so you could get approved for the things you need in life. Talk to y'all soon. Peace.
Because there were a lot of issues. The first year I opened, I remember we had students that were 21, 22 years old.
That
were.
song about right. We used to be in 9th grade.
That were in high
against
school.
These man talking about they in high school. We playing ball against them Crucian and them dude look like my father.
We had guys that have been in high school 6 years, So we went through the process and we built a very good school. So at the beginning, we had just exceptional athletic program. We were beating up on Charlotte.
So I tell you, it's grown man we were playing
No, but
against.
they were the same age. I mean, we had Tegan and Pang and all of those
Right.
guys and Kareem Smith. We had a very good team. Yeah. But at that point, I realized that the athletic program was very good. And my next mission was that I want to have a really, really good academic program that could compete with any of the private schools. Because so many people think that because you're attending a public school that you don't have the intelligence, you don't have this, they try to look down on you. So I wanted to be very competitive in terms of academic. And we worked that program until our math science quiz bowl team, we were beating Antilles, Country Day, Hope. We won 5 years straight.
Yes, sir.
That when we walk in the room and they see Barracudas walking in, they have to think twice because they know we come in prepared. Yeah. And then from that, I wanted to build a really good fine arts program. Charlotte Mali, I always had this big band and I always were competing and I was like, we got to compete with them. Yeah. We always had always at Charlotte Mali.
Stop saying Charlotte Mali.
High school.
Thank you.
Okay, I don't know how I think. And to me, that's crazy, right? I tell my St. Domingue friends, you could imagine that there is a school named high school.
Yeah.
That's the only one.
You say high school and it's just one school?
Yeah.
You don't reckon in high school.
No, that's
Charlotte Mali is high school. You don't reckon it's your Dorake.
I don't know why you do it.
So that's why I say Charlotte Mali, because I want to
it's
know
like a place up at churn and go when their parents go to work.
Yes. But
when
we
they
went to high school.
Yeah, I went to high school. I figure so.
Yeah, that's
But
what that is.
from there, we built a really excellent music program, fine arts program. And I was able to get some of the graduates at Complex to come back as teachers, Kevin Hendricks, Skylar Anderson, and they came back and they invested into the music program, and we were soon competing with Charter Mali, with marching band and all the other entities. So the years that I spent at Complex were, I could never go back and replicate those years. I mean, it was some of the greatest years that I ever had. And I had just a strong belief in that school and a love for that school. Unfortunately, politics got involved.
Before you go there,
Yeah.
I know you were doing math.
Not politics running or no?
No, not running.
Or
But I
talking
want
about
to
the
know.
transfer.
But even that. But I want to know where the passion for children come from, though, right? Because you could be a teacher, you could know your A's, your B's, your C's, your numbers, but when I talk to people about you, and I mean, how glowingly they speak about you as a principal. I mean, there's some people that feel like they get kicked out and Vialet were tough, but then there's a whole drove of people that speak highly of how you cultivated them as people. Where the passion, because I have a passion for youth, but I ain't being a teacher. Where your passion for
and
youth
then
come
too,
from?
like it was mathematics.
Yeah.
Mathematics is what got you into teaching.
Right.
Yes.
The children is what made you stay.
Yeah.
So that passion, like talk about how it was developed. Like,
I wanted to prove, I always had a strong belief that we could do well. And I hate stereotypes. I hate individuals to say that this person can't achieve because of X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
And a lot of that used to take place. Sometimes just because you come from a certain family, they think that you can't learn. And I never believe in that. And I also realized quickly that the way that you get children to follow rules, to comply, and to want to study is to know them. So if I'm able to say, Thomas, cool out. Just the fact that I know his name, Macintosh, cut your crap. The fact that I know the name is going to provide that connection with them and me. I was also super supportive of all my team. So I go into the game. I was your biggest cheerleader. If your mother or father ain't come because they caught up and they don't go to the game, You're going to have one person cheering for you. That's your principal. They're going to be your biggest cheerleader. They're going to be defending you. Nobody can mess with you. Nobody can do anything. So a lot of the students, we develop really, really good relationship because after I cheer for you on a Friday night, Monday you ain't going to disrespect me. I was cheering for you. I dapsing you up. The game is over. You're going to have that respect for me. And I realized that if we want to really reduce the violence and the social issues in the community, you need an educated populace. If you don't have an educated populace, you're going to continue to have problems. And there's a need, and it's kind of falling back a bit now, there's a need to make sure that your population is educated. And I'll give you one example. I've been saying this on the airwaves and all other places for a while. I'm in fear for the Virgin Islands at this juncture. And I'm in fear for the Virgin Islands because to a certain degree, we have lost realizing the importance of education. And you want people to be in all the trades and everything else, but a lot of young don't want to be in the trades anymore. So those individuals in the Eastern Caribbean that were doing the work, they're getting older. And we need individuals to replace them. My generation had a lot of career teachers. We came back and that's what we wanted to do. We wanted to be career nurses, etc. UVI now graduating 3-4 individuals from the School of Education. So when that happens, what you have to do? You have to import. So now you're importing a bunch of Philippine teachers, a bunch of Jamaican. We're now importing individuals from Africa to teach. We have a bunch of traveling nurses. We continentals coming from the mainland. We're importing accountants. We're importing engineers. So we're losing the basic fabric of who we are as an educated population.
I agree with you fully. My mother's an educator.
Hats off to her.
Yeah, I grew up in an educate. Her sisters are educators. My father, aunts are educators. My grandfather was a principal.
Oh, you got to be kidding. You come from a long line of educators. I come from a long line of educators. I love... I look stupid. No, you don't at all.
Right.
You look stupid, you could say.
I know you came from an educated...
Right.
I know you had some level of education because even when you have that banter, you're trying to harass people on your platform, you can see the level of education.
Right.
With him.
So I'm with you in the fact of, I think that our primary problem in the society is not even just a lack of education. I just don't think people care about their children. They don't care about our children.
And that's a problem.
And that is a problem. And so then I say, if you don't care about our children, like, okay, you don't care about children, you care about your children, but you don't care about the children next to the child next to your child is going to affect your child, you know? All right, so as you grow older and they develop and they get wayward, then they affect the community in ways that you cry about. But when you had the opportunity to focus on education and creating an incubator for them to learn conflict resolution and any other skills that you could shape their minds, then you neglect it. When it's time to talk about school, education, and curriculum, you're quiet. When it's time to talk about the village and who want to line up, we're the loudest. And I don't understand it. It's like
that's a big issue.
It peeves me.
Yes.
Right? Because education and health to me go hand in hand. Right? But we don't pay attention to these things. They say they love their children. When Mama Maria happened, how many years ago?
2017, right?
2017? And our schools in St. Thomas still look the way that they look. Our schools in St. Croix still look the way that they look. We have money. We're sending $200,000 down the road over here. We're doing this over there. We're complaining about everything else. And so now, like, I remember I went to school in 9, 10, and 11th grade in Miami. I love going to school. 9, 10, and 11th grade in Miami. School was something to do. Like when I go to school, I had chess club. I play football,
a lot of activities, right.
Everything, air condition, everything. When you go Charlotte Mali now, it looked like when my father, who's almost 70, if not 70, went to Charlotte Mali. So walking up to the school in 12th grade, I remember in 12th grade, I only had like 3 classes. And I come from the state of all electives. That's it, to graduate. Never wanted to go. It just had looked like a coffin. It didn't look like no place I wanted to be. My gym, my first class was gym. I never went to gym. Why? Because after I sweaty myself in the morning, there's no shower for me to bathe. There's no lockers for me to change clothes and freshen up myself. When I was going to school in Miami, after I finished gymming, I had gym morning too.
You could shower.
If I didn't want to shower, I had my things to freshen up myself before I go to school for the rest of the day. So you're essentially telling children you don't care. You can say it out your mouth all you want. When you look at their amenities and the things to develop their minds and have things to do, you don't invest in that. When we were growing up, me and the people learned from Tutu were cool. Why? I had pal in ghettos. They used to come from Tutu, come in the ghettos to go pal. We youth, we grew up together. So me and all I heard them in Tutu, we good. The younger I heard them in the ghettos and Tutu, they're not good. You took pal away. You took the things away.
You took the programs away that was actually working, that connect, yeah.
You understand? So that's all of that's part of education, you know.
Even
though it's summer camp, it's part of education. Experience is education on a level. So I agree with you that our number one priority should be education on all levels, especially for children, if we claim that we want the society we want. Because what's going to end up happening is me and you's friend, your son might not kill my son, but your son cousin might kill my son. Because we ain't in control of what it is we shaping our children's minds to have. And now we at war with the internet. Because the internet is 24/7. All when you're a parent and you sleep,
the largest problem, one of the biggest problems that we have in terms of educating children, but to go back to the first part, right, where you said you want the best for your child, but then you're really worrying about the next child. I always used to tell my teachers, treat every student like how you want your child to be treated, or your nephew, or your niece, because you can't, as a parent, want your child to go to school and have the best situation, everybody taking the time out to teach your child.
Right.
And then you're teaching, and you don't want to treat children the way that you're supposed to.
Right.
So one of the things that I did, my child went to public school. My wife was a teacher at Ricardo Richards. So they had to go to Ricardo Richards. Because if Ricardo Richards was good enough for every other child that going there, it got to be good enough
for your own
for
child.
my child.
Yeah.
My children graduate from Complex. They had to come there. People ask me, you're not going to send them private school? No. I run in a school, and my school have a slew of intelligent individuals. They have programs. They got to come there. Because I got to show that I have the faith in the school that I'm working if I want to attract other children and I want to make sure that we're creating that type of environment. And I always felt a way, when I see administrators that would be administrator for a school, and but believe that the school ain't good enough, so they send the child to a private
that's
school.
Kind of a reflection of
I'm
them
like,
as
really?
Administrator, because if you in charge, this is your product, right? You have a lot to do with this, and this product that you have a lot to do with ain't good enough for your own child. What does that say about you?
It sends a subliminal message to the community.
Exactly.
As well.
So I was transferred from Complex, right, to Arthur Richards. Arthur Richards was having a lot of issues, a lot of fighting on a regular basis. The school was literally out of control. I don't know why, because the school ended up being such an easy school to run. But when I went there, the first couple of weeks...
That's part of the politics that you're referring to
earlier? Yeah.
That got you transferred over there?
Yeah. Politics had me transferred, and they believe that Complex would have just been would have been able to survive. It would be no issue. Let's just move him because he's not supportive of the administration. So in order to punish him, what's going to hurt him most? Moving from the school he loved, moving from the school that he built.
That's your baby.
Yeah, but they didn't punish you.
No.
They punished the church.
They thought they was going to punish me, but they just opened up more opportunities.
They punished the children.
Yeah. But a lot of time when stuff is being done, they're not thinking about the bigger picture. They're just thinking about how they could get back to you right now.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if it's going to hurt 20, 30 people out there. We just need to get back to you. But I remember going to Arthur Richards, and I had staff members that were telling people in the community not to send their children to Arthur Richards. So that was one of the first things I had to deal with. I had just meeting after meeting with the staff. Hey, you guys can't be telling people not to come to the school. Then you literally telling them that the school is no good.
Yeah.
We're able to turn that around in 2-3 months because we created a safe environment. And a lot of creating a safe environment is just getting out there. Administrators need to walk the hall, they need to walk the campus, they need to engage, sit down at lunch with the children, sit down with the students, sit down in the corner with them, talk horse race, talk this, talk that. That's how you get to know them. You can't run a school by staying in the main office. I remember the first week I went to Arthur Richards, I asked them, show me all the turf. They tell me this turf, that turf, that turf. Which is the worst turf? They told me the worst turf. The first day I just went and sat down in the turf. I carried my chair, and the man told me, I'm a farmer, I know farmer. We sit down. I hear them mumbling, we said, this man, you're hotting up the place. Oh, what going on? All of them got up and they left. They went to the next area. I get up and I follow them and I put back my chair. I told them, hey, until I cool out and learn how to behave, I'm going to be here every day. Once you guys comply, me ain't going to issue no.
Yeah.
But I ain't going to be intimidating nobody and talking crap.
Yeah.
And quickly they changed. And some of those guys, they're now grown men. They're good friends with me.
Yeah.
But students, children want structure. The worst child, who could be the most problematic, begging for structure. But a lot of time, we use the excuse that, oh, the mother to go on this way, the mother to this, the mother to that, I don't want to correct them, so I'm going to leave them alone. Nah. My most combative parents that I had that said, oh, Vialet, we will knock your head off, we're going to this and that. They're some of the biggest supporters now politically. I could call them and ask them for anything and they supported me. Because every child, every child parent want the best for their child. It just got some parents that don't really know how to be parents, but they still want the best. They want a child to be educated. The woman on the street that down crack wants a child educated. The man in jail wants his child educated. All of them want a child educated. Some of them don't know how to go about that process because they were never taught. Some of them didn't have it, and some of them just were never taught. But they appreciate when somebody's willing to take the time to educate their child. They appreciate it. With the structure part, a lot of them are upset. I have put some individuals out of school, and it wasn't out of school, it was out to go to adult education. And some didn't understand it at that particular juncture. But as they got older, they understood the reason why.
When you do that, when you make those decisions, did it affect you personally as a human being that you had to make a decision to put a child out of school?
To send them to adult education.
To send them,
yeah,
sorry,
because
to
I
send
never
them
put
to-
them out to the street. But,
Right.
and this was the first 2 years we had a bit of that. But you aren't getting sent out, just like today I'm going to call you and say, hey, come, I'm signing you out. This was after repeated meetings, after pulling in the parent, after meeting with the child. Hey, you need to do this. You got to go to class, man. You skip 4 classes the entire semester. You got to go to class. You got to do this. You got to do that. So it was giving a lot of leeway for them to do the right thing. And some of them, it was a lot easier for them to go through adult education and graduate. Because at that time, the credits were 22 credits in high school.
Right.
But adult education didn't have all the electives and all of that. So it was 16. So if I see a guy, you're 18 years old, you're in 10th grade. I don't really want you to age out 20 in 12th grade.
Right.
If I go find a quicker path for you to finish school, that you'll finish at 19 in adult education and then begin to learn a trade or learn a skill or go to college or whatever, that is a better path for you. So a lot of time, it is just decisions that you need to make. And some were to try to have a rude awakening for the student because the parent tried everything and they can't get through. I tried everything and I can't get through. Well, you need a rude awakening. And sometimes that rude awakening was able to save the student's life. I mean, some of them, we said, I'll send you out to adult ed. And when I see them crying and carrying on and all kind of thing, okay, I accomplished my goal. They understand the importance of education now. Hey, you want me to give you a chance? You're going to go to class? Yeah, I'm going to class.
Right.
I solved my goal. But we got to make sure that our children at least have an opportunity to compete. You can't compete without a high school diploma because every single job sign you need it, literally. Every government position, to be a custodian, you need a high school diploma. So we have to give them the opportunity to at least be an even footing so that they could have an opportunity to move on. I used to try to push vocational education as much as possible. And I got a lot of some flack for that. They were saying, oh, he only tried to put this person in there because they like to study. But if you have a student that clearly say, hey, Mr. Vialet, me really like this education thing. I'm just doing it for my mother, but I have no intention of doing anything else after. I don't need to teach you a trade. So that child, I say, hey, learn a trade, learn to do something with your hands so you can make money.
Yeah.
You got to learn something. You got to be able to market yourself. Because the second year that after I was principal at Complex, I had a rude awakening. My first goal was, I got to get students to graduate. I got to get students to graduate. I got to get students to finish 12th grade. And after the second year, I was like, wait, I got enough to graduate, but some of them just going on the street. Some of them getting involved. Some of them immediately, they get pregnant, they're gone in the system, they ain't doing nothing with their life. So I changed my focus to, I need to get them to graduate, but I also need to try as best as possible to get them to have a plan as to what they're going to do, how they're going to proceed on. Because graduate, and I tell parents now, if you're just telling your child, oh, you need to graduate, really, what are you achieving?
Exactly.
What is after?
Yeah.
After they graduate in May or June, what's after? They got to get a plan. And that plan can't involve you alone, you just supporting them.
Yeah.
So making them changes, not from a curriculum perspective, but from your mindset and approach, it didn't have any pushback from, say, the Board of Education or the people above you, because you're just a principal. How were you able to accomplish so much and do so much just being a principal and not a policy maker?
You have a lot of leeway being an administrator. You know, you got to make sure that the students meet certain requirements for graduation. But a lot of other stuff, you have a lot of leeway. And I believe that principals should run the school, not the Department of Education. So the Department of Education, you're not running my school.
Right.
This is my home. I am going to run it. If you tell me to do something and I know it's not in the best interest of my school, I ain't doing it.
Right.
I'm going to do what is in the best interest of the school. I ain't violating no law. But if you tell me do X and I know it's not going to work, you don't understand my population. So that was one of the first bill that I had, but it didn't pass. Every school got to understand their own DNA. You need to know the students that are coming to school. Arthur Richards was different to Elena Christian. Arthur Richards was different to Complex. There's some school where you have students that have a lot of social issues. You need other services within that school. Only thing was, hey, my comprehension rate at Arthur Richards might be low. I need reading specialists. I need you to give me reading specialists. But if you have a next school and their reading comprehension is better than the school I'm at, why they have the same amount of reading specialists as that particular school? You got to give me more. There's some schools where we need social workers because we need to provide other services. Okay, the students coming in with a lot of issues, they need a social worker directly in the school that could have access to providing other services outside of the school that's going to make that student be able to learn. The easiest thing I did at Arthur Richards, when I went there, the seventh graders, 50% will fail in seventh grade every year. 50%. 1 out of 2 failing. One simple program I institute that carried the promotion rate or the passage rate to like 84, 85% was to have an after-school program from, the school was over at 3 o'clock, from 3 to 5. And this wasn't teaching them anything. All this after-school program was, sit down, do your homework. You have a test, study for it. I had a math teacher, science, I had a teacher in all the major subject areas. All I did was create quiet time for 2 hours after school, and the passage rate went up. When I asked the students them, why did this impact you guys so much? Vialet, when I go home, my mother quarreling all day. I can't study. From the time I reach home, she quarreling. I started to do something. She said, wash up the dishes, do this, do that. So I also had to meet the parents and say, hey, you need to have some time. You raising a child. You got to structure your home, you know? Yeah. When your child reach home, you got to have X amount of time that they're going to be able to study, they're going to be able to do this. I had children that was failing, can't turn in a project or activity because the parent refused to buy them magic markers, the tools necessary to do that. So I just bought a bunch of that. Who need this, who need that? You have an activity you need to do, take what you need. Because when you have a bright child, like a student failing because they don't have the finances to be able to take part in a project. But then you got a next parent, you got a science project, and that parent got a little money. They go in there buying a board, they're buying all the elaborate stuff. But I got a child here that's just as smart or smarter, but they don't have the resources. The job of education is to provide those resources. And if we don't provide it, then something is wrong with the way we are structured. Our children smart. Our children can learn. The worst that we have can learn. And some of the worst students are the brightest. They're the brightest, they're masterminds. You have to be able to try to tap into those individuals.
Yeah, and I think that's been a problem in our society for a long time. especially the education system that we adapted from the West, is that it's so rigid. You know what I mean? It's not fluid enough. It's just like I say, I was intelligent in school, but I hated it because
And
it just
there's a lot like you.
wasn't a place for me. I go to school and I don't learn all of this at home. I just tell my mother all the time, like, I go in school and I learning things in 5th grade that you taught me in 2nd grade. So I bored now. There's nothing to challenge me. And how they teaching ain't how I receiving. You know what I mean?
But did they realize that you were...
No, but so that's why I'm saying no, I it's so rigid. Like it's just follow the lesson plan. It wasn't recognizing who each individual child was and learning how, like, I had to deal with artists, right? Each one of my artists, them different. So I have to deal with them different. I can't deal with them the same across the board. This one respond differently to this other one respond differently to this. So if I here to help them grow and cultivate them, then it's supposed to be within me to see who each of them is. Just like my daughters. My daughter them come from the same mother and same father, and both of them is stark different. I got to deal with them different. I have to have the passion to recognize
The differences.
Amira ain't learning like Amaya. Amaya, you don't have to tell Amaya nothing. Amira, I got to, every day when she come home from school, I got to give she extra hours. She less smarter, she just learn differently. And in school, it's not like that. They don't, and I get it because you're 30 students. You don't have the time to sit down on each and every student, but at some point, the system should be able to acknowledge these things. And I went to Robert Morgan Vocational Tech is why I excel. I went to school for half of the day, and then I went and do trade for half of the day. Because the school recognized I can't sit still for an hour. That's not something that I personally, how I wired, I can't do that.
And the educator's supposed to be able to identify that. When, and two ways, they did not sit still. My wife, career, 2nd, 6th grade teacher, she had a student that was fully ADHD. Just off the chart. That student just bunks, can't sit. The student couldn't sit for more than 45 minutes an hour. But she realized that very early on. So when she gave work and she see the student begin to bounce, she tell him, get up. Red man, go outside. Take a walk, take a run. You got 10 minutes. And he would go outside, run, come back in the classroom. I already know to walk, Miss Vialet. And he walk again for an hour and a half, and then he bounce, send him back out. I had a group of guys that came to Arthur Richards my first year. As a principal, I used to go through every cumulative folder because I want to see what your academic performance is going to be like, and I also want to check your record to see if you have any disciplinary issues, if I need to have a little extra eye, if I need to talk to you. And a lot of time when they pull them in, they say, hey, I know what you're doing in elementary school. You need to cool out this or that. They're like, oh, hell, he already know my record. I got to cool out. But I had a bunch of guys, they were testing just above and beyond in every single subject area. So I looking at their cube and they come. They were bored as hell. So I said, you guys wanted an academically talented class? No. I called the school. You guys don't have an academically talented class? You didn't realize that these students were so bright? No. So I passed a bill mandating academically talented class in all schools in the Virgin Islands because they're supposed to be able to make sure that that child don't sit there being bored because the effect on boys is worse than girls. You know, when you begin to get bored, your mind is just going all over the place and you could get involved in a lot of crap. So we need to do a better job of making sure that we meet these children at the potential or at the level that they're at. We can no longer do this just sitting down and you're educating everybody the same way. It can't work.
Yeah, it can't.
It can't work.
So, okay, now, transitioning, that I could hear the passion for school. Is I'm sorry, you're talking to Sarah, right? Yeah. You're talking to Sarah.
She's a good teacher, and guess what? She's teaching right now again.
No, she is a good teacher. And not just a teacher of students, a teacher of people.
Yeah.
And I mean, when she knows something and she's passionate about something, she speaks on it. I feel I get the same energy with you. Why leave to go to politics?
Because when I was at Arthur Richards, first, after the 3rd year, it wasn't a challenge anymore. And I realized that a lot of the issues that the students had were outside of education, were outside of politics. It has to just do with the way that the system is oriented.
Right.
You know, whether it is human services. I'll give a good example. I never knew, and this was at Complex, I never knew in the Virgin Islands we had cutters. And a student who is a cutter, the guy raise a blade and they just cut all over. Stomach, legs, everything. I had never witnessed that before. And I had my first cutter. And the students come down, they said, hey, Vialet, you need to go up to the girls' bathroom. We have a student in there. Hey, look, this girl had cut all over her stomach, her legs. It was because of severe abuse at home. So I called Human Services. And we knew that the abuse was a direct result of the home environment. And the mom really couldn't fend for herself. Right? And the dad was super abusive. So whenever he abused this girl, verbally, mentally beat her, she just got in her room and cut up herself. They came and they interviewed the girl. And they put the girl right back in the home, right? Without removing her. So it's a Friday, I'm like, well, what the hell am I going to do? You know, I know this girl won't go through hell because now I reported to Human Services. He's probably going to abuse her more. I gave her $20. And I gave her my phone number. I said, hey, they never used to feed her. I said, hold this $20, tuck it away. If anything happened to you, jump on a pay bus. We don't call them pay bus in St. Croix. I don't know what to call them.
No, we have safari.
Okay.
I don't know nothing about no bus.
Well, my generation used to call them pay bus. I don't call them pay bus now. But the name change. Taxi. They Americanized. Pay bus in our name, in our days. I said, jump on a pay bus and call me. And I will pick you up. To just get someplace safe. Just get out of the environment, get someplace. I'll pick you up and I'll have to see who I could get in Human Services. I got a phone call. The girl is in distress. I said, use the money that I gave you. Get on a bus. Live down here in West. Get on a bus and I'm going to meet you. She said, I don't have the money. I said, what you did with the money? She said, me and my brothers and sisters, we had nothing to eat. And I went to the grocery and I took the $20 and buy bread and buy stuff for us to eat. I don't have the money. So I had to rush till I walk someplace, get a female, meet her. But it was a failure of the system.
Right.
Because we didn't take care of her needs. And you guys will be surprised to know the type of abuse that's going on with students in this community. Some very, very severe, some crazy stuff goes on. And it has to be an environment where we're able to offer protection to each and every child. And I wanted to go to enhance a lot of those areas, you know. That's why I started the Masters in Social Work. That's my bill for social workers, because I want social workers. I want social workers to be able to go into all the schools, to the prison, to Department of Health, the hospital, to be able to deal with some of these social issues. Because you just said that your two daughters learn different. One, you got to give more time than the next one. Well, a lot of these children going home and they ain't got no time at all.
Right.
They don't have no time. They're just going home to abuse. So a big part is also that message, you know, getting to meet with your parents on a regular basis about the behavior. I had a student that would come to school every day. You could smell the weed as they walk in. But the student don't smoke.
Right.
The student was not a smoker. But I'm like, hey, you get yourself an issue. Every class you go to this and you smell like weed. The student don't smoke. But the father was dropping the child to school every single day. The father was smoking on the way to school. So I could have just turned my head. But it was an easy solution. I just wait one day and I called the father. Hey, and he was cool. I said, listen, you can't smoke when you're dropping the child. He said, what? I said, your child doesn't smell like weed. Do me a favor. Don't smoke when you're dropping your child. You want to light up after you drop your child? I could care less. Yeah. You can light up. But when you're dropping a child to school, stop. He stopped. That cut that problem out. I had a next student I found with some vials. I didn't even know they used to put the bag in vials. I was behind the time. When I was young, used to be in brown paper bag, right? But they were putting them in vials. I'm like, what the hell? So I called the student with a set of vials. Junior high school. So I looking like, well, this look like weed, but it's in a vial. I thought it used to be in bag. Yeah. So when the student said, something like with the time, man, it's in vials now. So I call in the parent. The parent come in. I said, hey, I found your son with these vials of marijuana. He flipped. I ain't gonna kill you, I ain't gonna do this or that. But the vials were his. Mm-hmm. So I said, I get word that all your vials right on your dressing table. So you have 50, 100 vials on your dressing table. Your son got access to any, he could just pick it up. If you dealing, you got to be dealing publicly in front of him? Why you cannot let them see that you have access to this because you're encouraging him?
Right.
Yeah. So I just need you to not do that in front of him because we really want him to come in and then you have to, this is a 12-year-old.
Yeah.
I don't want to be expelling a 12-year-old from school because of drugs.
Yeah. Right.
But you just have to change your behavior. Everything you do in life and as a parent, you got to change your behavior to make sure that your children are not going to be affected.
Right.
You got to. And that's why I said at the beginning, when we were having a conversation, I said that the Italian mafia, they were involved in a lot of stuff.
Right.
But they made sure that the children became educated. You're going to be a doctor, you're going to be a lawyer, you're going to be this, because they understood the importance of having that education within the internal organization.
And education is, I'm just saying thing about education, what I learned. So I tell my like I said, my youngest, she know what to do. And I tell my older daughter this, and I say, listen to me. Education is not just about learning.
Correct.
Right? It's about discipline. Being where you're supposed to be, when you're supposed to be, doing what you say you're going to do, when you say you're going to do it. This structure is teaching you how to be disciplined. And this is why the mafia preach education, because the mafia need discipline. And if you can't prove, and I'm so transparent when I say, listen, you could see my undisciplinedness as an adult, because when I was a child and I was supposed to be going through education and looking at it from a discipline standpoint, I neglected it. So now, at 40, you could see where in certain spaces of my life, I am undisciplined. And you could look at your mom, who did the education system the way it's supposed to do, you could see where she is disciplined. So I always tell children, I don't really necessarily need you to make A's and B's. I need you to be where you're supposed to be and do what you're supposed to do. Once you could do that in life, you create a chance for success. Kyle not a student. Kyle more disciplined than me. When you look at Kyle and you see me, you're going to look at Kyle and say, Kyle, super successful. I'm smarter than Kyle. But in reality,
you get better grades in school.
I get better grades in school than him. But in reality, he's more disciplined. He's smarter. He follow the rules. He do what he was supposed to do to the best of his ability. Me, I was like, I don't need this discipline, which I needed the structure and the discipline. I just couldn't see it then. All I know, I could look back and say, education is, grades is good, but discipline is important.
But,
you know what I'm saying?
There's a big difference too. In my age bracket, probably going down to your age bracket, you could have been undisciplined and survive.
Right. Yeah.
Now a lot of them can be undisciplined and survive.
Right.
Yeah. So it's a whole different world that they live in. And that's why, as much as possible, we need to make sure that we pass on to them all the mistakes that we made so that they don't make the same mistakes. I was the first generation of my family that went to college.
Right.
So my mother and father couldn't tell me what it is to go to college. They couldn't even tell me how to apply.
Right.
And I had to learn all of that on my own. But then I was able to pass that on to my children because I went through that. So I could now be able to help them at that particular juncture of their life. And they already graduate and they're doing well. But it's important that we have that structure for our family. But it's also important, and that's what I stress with the school, that if that structure does not exist, then the school takes over making sure that structure exists.
Right.
That's a job of schools, The school becomes the second parent.
Right.
Parental locus, I think, locum, there's a word that describes it. But the school got to take over and become the structure for that individual. St. Croix is such a wonderful place. This is just a good place. The Virgin Islands on a whole. We got good people. And you see it as you go around. You see it if you got issue. There's not a place in the world where You could get a flat tire, something wrong with your car, and car is just pulling over to help you. You know, people that you don't even know. There's no place else you could go and somebody will offer to buy you a drink. They barely know you. Hey, you want something to drink? We have a different vibes.
Right.
But we now have to be able to move that to a different level where this is just going to become just the greatest place to live.
Right.
And it takes work.
Yeah, it does. It takes a lot of work. So when you are in education, you're a principal and you commanded a lot of power, you're in charge, a lot of say. So that transition to the Senate now is not, that power structure changes. Like you could have do a lot more because you're in charge more. Now there's a
Political process.
Was that challenging for you to deal with in all the years of the senatorial career, where now when in school I could make this change right there, because as you say, the school is your home, so you could make these changes, but now in the Senate you gotta go through this process and probably get 6, 7 other people that disagree with you. You can't move something forward. How was that on a personal level? If it was challenging, how was it challenging for you to deal with that part of now that we're in the Senate as a young senator? I don't know. Were you young?
Young,
you still young?
I consider myself still young. I consider myself young as Chuck. I've done 37 years in government.
37?
Yeah. So I'm 3 years younger than you are in working for the government.
I'm 3.
Yeah, of the Virgin Islands. Right. But education prepared me for everything.
Right.
And people would say, oh, it's so challenging. How do you feel? You know, so I said, well, this is the safest job I ever had. I was working in a school. You know, you're exposed to everything, and I wasn't the type of principal, if a fight is happening, that I am looking at the monitors going, if a fight happening, I in the middle of that, I pull in them chair and I separate in because they respect the administrator. Who go hit the administrator. Right. So it's easier for me to grab somebody. Yeah. But in the Senate, you need to be able to convince your colleagues that this is a good measure.
Right.
So I don't bring something unless I already have buy-in. And buy-in is through communication.
Right.
Being able to convince, hey, this is good, you like this? And then most of the time, I get signed on. So before I bring it, I don't have 5 or 6 people that sign on, so I know it's going to pass for sure.
Right.
Because I am going to go through that process of convincing them to vote for my particular bill. If they don't, then I'm going to hold it.
Right.
Tell me, what you don't like about it? What need to change? But quickly, the process became a lot easier, and I became one of the senators that had real good rapport with all of the members. And one of the things I did first, when I went in that I think was different to them, was that I work with a minority. So a lot of bills that the minority had, I helped them to bring it to the floor to get it passed because they were minority senators that had good bills. But the bills ain't moving just because there's a minority senator. So I would take the bill and say, tell me what you don't agree. Why are we not moving this bill? What don't you agree with this bill? Oh, we agree with it, but Kyle is a minority. No. We're gonna bring it. Yeah. And if you have a good measure, whether or not they agree privately, the measure is so good when it comes publicly, they got to vote for it. Because then you're going to be embarrassed.
You gotta stand by that.
Yeah, if you don't vote for it. I brought a measure to raise the minimum salary for government workers from 27 to 31,000. That was my last bill after I lost the election. Inflation going up. Our school lunch workers and our custodian, they don't carry home like $300 in their pocket, sometimes $200. After you take out health insurance and GRS, the average bill, the average check is $200-$300. I said, look, I'm going to give them a $4,000 raise. Those at the bottom will get a $4,000 raise. Those are making 29, they'll go to 31, they'll get like a 2,000. It affected, I think it was 1,400 employees, 12 to 1,400 employees within government. It was going to take $4.5 million to fully implement. We're going to reprogram that in different stuff every year. To me, it was a win-win. So I brought the bill. The bill was December. The bill passed. 14 or 15 cents. Nobody voted no. Everybody voted for it. The bill went up to government house. The governor vetoed the bill. So he vetoed the bill and he said, we don't have sufficient funds to fund this. He says, these are people at the bottom wrong. And these people who feed in our children, clean and everything else. The bill was vetoed. So shortly after, all the commissioners got to raise $15,000-$20,000. They went up to 135. So they're making 110. They're making 105. They gone up to 125, 135. But you can't give the small person a $2,000 to $4,000 raise. That's messed up to me. The legislature, he didn't act on the bills until the legislature was just about to send out, to dissolve. So I never had a chance to override it. I gave that bill to a senator in this legislature. Hey, bring the bill, bring the bill. They have done everything possible to make sure that bill don't come back. And I'm like, really, why? So I know when I go back, that's one of the first things. If they don't pass it by December, it's going to pass next year because I'm going to bring it to the floor. Let me see who's going to vote no. And if it's vetoed, I'm going to override it and it will become law because you gotta look out for those who have the most difficulty looking out for themselves.
So just for our listeners to understand how that political process works, if the governor veto it, you could still override his veto as what position was? Just as a senator or?
No, you need a majority. You need a super majority. So you need 10 individuals to be able to override a bill. But a bill like that, you'll get 10 individuals.
Okay, I got you.
So they always say in the legislature, you have 2 bites at the apple. Because you could send a bill, he could pass it. But if he doesn't pass it, you could override it. So you got 2 bites at the apple.
Once everybody else buy in.
Yes, they need buy-in.
But that's the frustration of the people in the Virgin Islands. It's all this red tape and go around.
Lot of red tape.
I mean, it's a common sense thing, you know.
Yeah.
Like, we all know times getting harder, inflation going up. And here it is, we saying the people them that are clean up our children, pee and clean the bathroom so your child. That's what I tell you all when we had the conversation about children, you know. They don't care about children. Because this bill affects their children. Because if my custodial worker coming to work not feeling
valued,
Mm-hmm.
then what kind of facility, what kind of job they're going to do?
They gonna do?
But, you know what I mean?
Most of your custodians and most of your food service workers, they work in 2-3 jobs.
Right.
In order to make ends meet. So you're also impacting their family.
Yeah.
When a female, especially out the house from morning until 9, 10 o'clock, you impacting her children. You're impacting families. So it's really a bigger picture, some of the stuff that we do, because you got to find ways to stop impacting families that you're not able to put the time into raising your children.
Right.
I never wanted my wife to work a second job.
Right.
I worked a second job when I started teaching. I used to work for the airlines. I was working too. But when we get children, you can't work a second job. I really want you to put the time into being able to take care of them. But we are forcing people to just hustle. And when you force them to hustle, then you're diminishing the products that you have.
So okay, now, so like when we go through this process, I think what happened, especially here in the Virgin Islands, is like there's a lack of transparency when it comes to government for me. When these things happen, I hear about it now.
Yeah.
Why we don't hear about it when it happened? You know what I mean?
It was January in the height of festival in St. Croix when the vetoes came.
Like you said,
Again,
that's why they care
vetoes
about.
came
They care
out.
about carnival.
Yeah.
They care about walk up.
They care about walk up. That's important to them. And now these
Because
people
these
who
is
supposed to be
no brainers.
these
Like,
is
how
no-
are you going to tell us know that we can't give our custodians and our
Right.
My grandmother was a food lunch. She worked in food lunch.
Right.
For school lunch for a couple of years.
It was worse than that, right? When I went to Arthur Richards, I love Arthur Richards, so that's why I have some stories. I got a lot of stories about complex Arthur Richards. They were school lunch workers, food service workers, that they had as what they call per diem employees, right? They are not working directly for the government. They're being paid by the hour. So if they miss a day, they don't get paid. Easter, they don't get paid. Christmas, they don't get paid. And these women were coming to work every single day and religiously just working so hard. So I approached the Department of Education. I said, we need to bring these people on full time. Oh, we don't have the money to bring them on full time. We have a grant and they're being paid under the grant. So I was like, but this person doesn't get paid in the summer. They don't get paid Christmas. How you really expect that person to live? This person don't have any health insurance, and we sending them in the freezer. They're lifting up these heavy pots. They're going on the stove. They don't have any health insurance, anything. That's the first bill I passed. I just got the number. I call education. Tell me how much food service workers we have. And I just multiplied all of them to make minimum salary. I just multiplied that 14 times. They were like 21,000 back then. They were like 20 employees. And I just put in a line item to bring all of them on full time. Simple bill, but changed their life because now they were getting paid in the summer. Now they were getting paid Christmas. So how would you, in a leadership position, not imagine as to how that person living, but you taking advantage of them? And we just need to be fair across the board. We got to take care of everybody.
What would be the reason I know I understand it in when it comes to bills, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I ain't politically savvy. I just know right from wrong and have a conscience, right? The red tape part, I don't know too much of. When you have a bill, is there other things in the bill that, like, let's say, you want to raise this wage, but then there's other things in the bill people have attached to the bill, so the governor veto it because of these other things? Because I can't...
It could be both. Yeah, it could be both.
Yeah, I can't, for the life of me, figure out why you won't give these people a raise.
Because it was political at that time. You can't give Vialet a win. This Vialet bill, you cannot give him a win. I won the election, but you still cannot give him a win. I mean, there were certain times where no matter what I set up was being vetoed. Mm-hmm. So I had a bill. I took my name off of it and I gave, hey, Redman, put your name on it because I need this bill to pass. This bill, I need it to pass. I am willing to sacrifice because it's going to be vetoed. Put your name on it.
Right.
It passed. Because now it's not about me. Politics should never be about a person. Anybody that has a good measure, whether or not they're the same political party or not, you need to support.
Right.
You should never make anything personal. You have an argument on the floor, it's an argument on the floor. We debate on a particular issue. Yeah. General Sarah is the proponent of the marijuana bill. I vote no. We run together.
Right.
Because it wasn't personal. She understands my mindset, and I understand her mindset. Mm-hmm. So it's not personal. Mm-hmm. And if we're going to grow, we need to make sure that issues don't become personal and that we are doing more than just celebrating what you said, festival and so forth. Yeah. We got to celebrate making this island better.
Right.
What was your reason for voting no on the marijuana bill?
There was a lot.
Because,
I gave you guys an unofficial version.
Yeah, we did.
Can I get an if that were the unofficial version, give me the unofficial version and the Caribbean currency show.
Yeah, however you would word it, that would be safe.
I know it was inevitable at some point.
Yes.
My issue was that when you have legalization, there are individuals with a lot of money and capital that are going to come in.
Yeah.
No matter how you try to stop them.
Like big pharma.
People saying, oh, we're going to stop them, this or that. No. Some of them live here.
Yeah.
Okay. They're already established in the Virgin Islands. They have dispensaries and lab in other states, etc.
Yeah.
You have the little guy on the street.
Yeah.
And for some of them, that's the only income that they make. Some of them have been doing it for 30, 40 years. Mm-hmm. When you legalize it, what is going to happen to that population?
Yeah.
Which is a huge population.
Yeah. So you're because you can't tell me that population, that all of them have the capacity to open a dispensary.
Yeah.
No.
They don't.
Okay. That's a highly regulated industry, etc. And the money is going to rule.
Yeah.
So impacting the little man on the street.
Yeah.
What are you going to do when you impact them?
Yeah.
You're going to provide them with an opportunity to learn something, to do something to make money?
Exactly.
Or what are you going to do? You're going to bring them and pay them minimum wage to work in your dispensary? So I say, hey, I can't risk the impact to that population. Because when you impact that population, you ready to deal with that population?
Right.
Mm-hmm. You ready to deal with that population when you cut everything that they're doing?
Yeah. It's done already hard enough to make money legally, and so you have that population, and it's cultural for us. I mean, I don't want to call it legal illegal.
I wanted you to sit down. We don't talk about it off camera like this.
Right.
But I wanted the people to hear you say it, because in the media, there was a bill for legislation to legalize marijuana, quote unquote, and he said no.
So now your face is the villain as to why legal,
Yeah,
weed ain't legal wrong here, but I want them to know.
I
as
also
to
explain
why.
it, but there's a next component, right? We're not the best place when it comes to rules and regs.
Right.
We're not the best place when it comes to enforcement.
Yeah.
Whether it is legal or not, I don't want to say what you're smoking.
Yeah.
Right.
And I have seen a number of students
Yeah.
who came to school in 9th grade looking like a student and left 12th grade looking like a zombie.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm driving past them on a regular basis. Right now, I know 3 young ladies that's on the street.
Yeah.
And some of them are a result of whether it's a bad weed, a bad joint, etc.
Yeah.
But we have to be able to enforce. And in America, you go into a dispensary, they're checking ID, they're checking all type of stuff. They're making sure that it's not being dispensed to individuals under 18. And if you want to smoke, you're over 21, I could care less. Smoke.
Yeah.
You're good. But don't get a 14-year-old. Don't give your little 13-year-old or 10-year-old daughter that you say. Because then it begin to affect their brain cells, etc.
Yeah.
So
Development. Yeah.
we need to make sure that we have a structured environment. And I have not seen our ability to structure the environment in such a way that it's not going to become an impact to our children.
Yeah.
And that bigger one, that impact on those guys that are on the street right now. What's the plan?
Because, like you say, the bigger companies that been doing this here, they have a lot of backing, they have a lot of money. They're doing it in different states, different places in the world. They know all the red tape behind of it. They know who hands to shake. They know what it is that needs
Correct.
to happen. They done ready and waiting in line to come in here. You know, a little small.
They're
beautiful
here.
territory. They done here already.
They are here.
Okay. So what some of the regulations is you gotta be a resident for a certain amount. So they don't
They done been here for 10 years.
residency here waiting for this thing. So now when them people come in and it's like, okay, boom, this thing legal now. Oh, I gotta check this box, and this box. Okay, I check them all. Let me open up my $1 million dispensary. The man on the street with a couple dime bag now. What he
Gone.
gonna do?
Gone.
And then guess what? You take food out of that man mouth. What he gonna do?
That's my
Come in your
issue.
house.
That's really my issue. So
check.
the fact that it hasn't come online yet, I was happy.
Yeah.
I hope the red tape lasts forever.
Yeah.
You know, because we just need to be ready
Yeah.
when it becomes legal
Yeah.
as to how you're going to be able to deal with that population. Because a large part of the population, they're really not criminals.
Yeah,
They're
yeah.
just people that trying
hustling.
to make a dollar hustling.
yeah.
You know, so you can't criminalize them.
Yeah.
But you might be forcing them now
Yeah.
in a different light.
Different light, yeah.
And when you're doing something, right, you got to think of all of the impact. You can't just think about the money. This was about like the taxation and being able to tax it and get it. And a big part of it was being able to create a haven for tourists coming to St. Thomas to be able to have legal cannabis. But I'm just overall looking as to being able to have the controls and what is going to happen to that local population right now
Yeah.
that's involved. And people might tell me, oh, Vialet, you're wrong because, but no,
So
we have it.
Do you believe there's a pathway to it?
Yeah, what would that look like for you?
It's hard because, I mean, the guy's 60 years old, I've been dealing with for 40 years. You know,
Right.
they really don't know how to do anything else.
Right. So I said that to say this. Even in the states that it's legal in and have dispensaries,
They still
there's
have an illegal
more
market.
man on the street selling
Yeah.
weed than the dispensaries. And the reason being for that is that, okay, if you legalize weed to sell weed and you want to sell it out of a store and a dispensary, there's no educational process to say, hey, Kyle, here what? I know that sell on the corner. There's a class or there's a forum or there's a space or there's a structure where we could help you, one, gain brick and mortar to create a dispensary, understanding financial literacy. So when you do get regulations, how to keep it regulated, how to employ and teach others like you. There's none of that. I don't see any of that. I just see
Diana Williams, who was a former CEO for the hospital, she had a cannabis summit at Carambola, I think like 2 months ago, where they were attempting to do some of the stuff that you're talking about.
Right.
But again, the issue there is that the man in the street ain't know nothing about it. You understand? So they go into it. So they're
Right, that's what I'm
targeting a
saying.
different
The man on
market.
the street don't know
Yeah.
that he had something in Carambola.
So who will come and really tell the man that?
That's
You know,
what I'm
okay,
saying.
but he just had it like a month and a half, 2
Right.
months. Matter of fact, I
believe
have
you,
the
you
flyer
know.
here.
And
believe
that's
you. I
the
believe
thing
it
that I
so
say
clear.
about the Virgin Islands. Things do happen, but they have a piss poor way align the people who need to know that it's happening.
yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Right? They're going to say, well, we put it on consortium, but not these people don't
Yeah.
be on the internet.
Exactly.
These people ain't living there. You know exactly where those people are who need to know this
It was
information.
an agriculture website.
Yeah, well, agriculture.
When last anyone have we been
I
on
don't be on
agriculture
agriculture website, but you know exactly where these people are who need to know this information to be able to say they ain't going to the summit and you won't go.
Yes.
You won't come. My thing is,
Yeah.
we not Georgia, right? Where the senator or the governor or anybody in governance is so far removed that I don't know you personally. You're a senator. He's a governor. These are administrators. These are commissioners. You could walk and not off the same way I could walk and not off, you know?
yeah.
And you could say, hey, this is going on down here for a year. Just come past to let you know, hey, you got a thing down Carambola and this. But we don't, why we have to operate like we from a big state
Yes.
and we
Silos, yeah.
can't go.
The same way that I put them speaker on the cars and
Right,
drive
right,
around here
right.
Yeah.
with the jingles about vote for this number and vote for that number. The same
No,
way
you can't come in the ghetto and the
information
garrison
could
and tell the people them what going on and here, look, you got a thing Carambola. I know how to sell a little thing on the corner, but the part with the
Yeah, well-
transitioning,
And in the actuality, some of those conversations should have been had even before the bill was passed.
Right.
You know,
Yes.
like how are you going, hey, this happening?
Yes.
What are your feelings on it?
Yes.
right?
But now we're to the point where, and this was a private person that did this. It
Right.
wasn't the government. But it's to the point where they're going to have to be able to engage all of those individuals on the street
Right.
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
ask
they
them,
gonna engage
you know,
them.
tell us.
Look, if you
Tell
take
us
the
how we
food
gonna do
out
it.
of their mouth, they're going to go to them dispensary
Alright,
and take
food out of their mouth.
And
out of their
that's
mouth.
that's my fear. That's my fear. But I mean,
it's a reality.
but it is.
Yeah, it's not a
It is.
fair. It's
It
just
is.
like a
It's
reality.
the realness of
It's
it.
going to happen.
It's going to happen.
And my thing is, when you're doing, when you're planning or you're doing something,
Right.
you got to deal with all of those instances.
yeah.
Right.
You got to deal with it.
Yeah.
I'm a big proponent of horse racing. I've been a horse racing from 11th grade.
Right.
I want structured horse racing because I know it could carry us to a different level.
Right.
St. Croix has presently have 4 riders riding on the mainland professionally. We have trainers training on tracks across the mainland. When you have horse racing, you reduce violence.
Yeah.
People don't realize the social impact of horse racing or no.
Yeah.
If you're hot, I want to knock him down. I can't knock you down before horse race. I want to go on the track and bet. Me want to be in hiding.
Yeah.
I want to go and I want to gamble on my horse.
Yeah.
So it really brings everything down. Plus, horse racing teaches you a discipline that nothing else could teach you. Because it's a live animal.
Yeah.
So every morning, 5 o'clock, you got to get up and feed it. And every afternoon, you got to feed it. You got to walk it. You got to bathe it. You got to do a bunch of stuff. Even in a hurricane, you got to go out and feed your horse. I've been through hurricane. You go with horses. The first thing you're thinking is if your horses are good, you're going there. So it teaches a discipline.
Yes.
You know, I had that conversation with some government official as to the reason why we need to get horse racing back. I say, hey, it's going to help crime. They said, how you mean it's going to help crime, Bill? I said, it does. Because you're engaging them in something that they love. And instead of them just cooling, they're down the track.
Yeah.
And you're dealing with a horse. By the time you're done, you just want to go and take a shower
Yeah.
and get yourself ready to go back the afternoon again.
Yeah.
You know, so those are things that we need to look at. But when you know, you structure it in such a way, it also teaching up horse and discipline.
There's also a huge economical impact it can
Correct.
have too. But it's so separatist because it's like St. Thomas get their own association and then St. Croix get their own. And I don't understand how we's one, but then we have our own. It should be one thing governing the whole. Why we don't have a triple crown is why I don't understand. You know what I mean? Like our own.
We had one.
Well, we had one. But
Yeah,
I'm
we
saying
had one.
We had one for namesake, right? Like, why say, I fly over St. Croix landing, is a horse track right there, big space. It could be a state-of-the-art facility. Why we don't have one of the bigger races in the Western Hemisphere, in the Caribbean? Why horses ain't flying down from America? Why we can't have like a Preakness or a Belmont or any one of these stakes here in Paradise where people could fly in numbers to St. Croix to watch big horses that fly in from Dubai or wherever it is here? When we know we love horse racing. I don't really know too much other island that have and love horse racing, like how the Virgin Islands love horse racing, you know. So why
we have a couple islands that have horse racing. We have a special love for it in the Virgin Islands, but
What's stopping
Trinidad,
these things from
Barbados,
happening?
Puerto Rico, Santo Domingo, Jamaica, they all have tracks. But it got, and that's why I said structured. In order for a horse to come from America and run here and go back to America, the track need to be recognized.
Right.
You know, so we need to have that structure in place, and that's one of the things through legislation I passed to make sure that it's structured. That if you have a native horse born in the Virgin Islands, a native thoroughbred, and it becomes very good, that you'll have the documentation that you could raise the horse in the States.
Right.
And we need to put that together. My goal now is to just get the tracks open, to get St. Croix going. You know, there's been a lot of delays. The company they selected for the rebuild, the company filed bankruptcy. So they, Vivo, so they're going through a next phase of trying to get a next group. But it is important for St. Croix. It's important for the Virgin Islands. Just inter-island races. When we get inter-island race and Totola come in and St. Thomas come in, there's a tremendous amount of people. And we got to get back to that. But we need to be able to have these venues open. We need to be able to create structure, because outside of the Virgin Islands, especially Crucians, have done so well in horse racing. A Crucian walk to Belmont or Gulfstream, from the time they hold the horse by the clip rope and they just take a couple steps, that trainer saying, hey, that person know about horses. Because we know about it at a different level. I know a lot of guys are bush ride around here. They jump on a horse, sit down, they beat your thing. So we got to get it going. But in my personal life, horse race taught me a lot of discipline. Because you had to wake up, you had to take care of your animal, you had to go to school. When I started to work, I had to do the same thing. When I got children, you got to balance. I got a wife, you know, I love horse racing, you got to do the same. When I get older now, I'm not as involved in it right now because we don't have a track, but my brother's still involved. He owns horses in the States and he's racing.
Right.
But it's one of the areas where that development you spoke about for St. Croix is here, because we get a land space.
Yes.
So along with the racing industry, we could have a breeding industry. We just have a lot of work that we need to do, but it's time to concentrate on how are we going to be able to move the Virgin Islands forward? How are we going to be able to move St. Croix? How are we going to be able to move St. Thomas? So, you know, what do we need to do to recreate or rebrand or to be able to move these islands
The key is
to a different trajectory?
St. Thomas don't need nothing.
No, what St. Thomas need is that the tourism product is the same for the last 20 years. They haven't done anything to change the product. I had a simple conversation with Megan's Bay, right? Megan's Bay Authority. They came before the legislature. I said, what they're offering to the tourists that are coming. If I go to a next Caribbean island, I go to, which one I should pick? Mexico. I get into Mexico culture right there. All I could buy is original taco again, tequila. I went to an original tequila factory that got the agave growing right there. They're giving you a shot. You go to Megan's Bay, they got hot dog and hamburger. I said, why at Megan's Bay you're not allowing locals to be able to have a little booth and they're selling Johnny cake and fried fish and pate, because
But
tourists...
the locals are interested in an American lifestyle regardless.
Well,
So
that's
when
a
you
good
say,
point.
so even when you say, I agree with you, but when you look at listen, I tell a girl the other day, you don't look like a girl for the Virgin Islands. You look like you're from America.
Oh, that's a different story.
Right?
That's the appearance part.
But it's the mindset is what we watch. We watch American TV, American lifestyle. So we ain't fussing about the hot dog.
But the rebranding, because when a tourist coming off a ship, and I love to go on a cruise,
Right.
the first thing they're asking is, where can I find local food?
Right.
Where can I find local drink?
True.
Where can I eat something local? If you give them sugar cane all the time, they're happy. The simple stuff, they don't want to eat the hamburger hot dog all the time. They want to get something local. They want a local experience. St. Croix, even that somebody was telling me, St. Croix don't have excellency when it comes to tourism. We have even more. Ain't got much Caribbean island. You could come off the ship and you're there right there on the beach.
Right. So that's why I say I don't want to focus on St. Thomas. I feel like I agree with you. Yes, we could rebrand the product, but they're not suffering. And they're not, people coming regardless, right? So let's.
You want to spend?
Yeah, right. I want them to spend. They're spending. Right. No, so that's why. Right. So that's why I'm saying. So, yes, we could do some tweaks to St. Thomas, but
here's what they
not moving forward, and
without St. Croix move forward
is at the tip of the spear.
Yes. I agree.
Right, because St. Croix have everything that the others are lacking.
Yes.
Right. So you go to St. Thomas, you have this by lacking this. You go to St. John, you have this by lacking this. But St. Croix is not lacking of anything.
Exactly.
And we're not developing it and focusing on it and capitalizing on what we have. And then on top of it, it's more multicultural than all the other two. It just is, right? So what's the hold up? Like, what's the hold up? Is it the people? Is it the government? Is it the mindset? What is it? You know, because like we were talking offline, for me, like when I talk to Crucians, I know them. They love heritage. Yeah, they love the past.
Yeah, that's what we are.
That's cool. But we're
you have an extremist view.
Yeah, I'm going into the future.
Yeah, you have an extremist view.
I can't slow roll it. I need to go now. I need to go right now. When you want to slow roll it and gradual it, I might not live long enough to see. And I don't know who else get a baton going to keep slow rolling and gradual. And St. Croix is in desperate need of economical juice.
Yeah.
And I used to famous for being online saying it all the line.
Yeah.
Knock it on.
Yeah. It's frustration, because we could see the potential.
As I told you, and it's frustrating.
We have tremendous potential.
It's crazy.
Tremendous potential. You know, a part of it, we got to make sure that we have the necessary investment. We got to make sure that there's no blockage within government in terms of development on St. Croix. You can submit for a permit on St. Thomas and you get it in a week, and you submit for a permit on St. Croix and it takes 4 months.
The past two governors been from St. Croix, right?
This one is from St. Thomas.
Really?
But he's born in St. Thomas. He's lives on St. Croix.
Okay.
But the structure within government, I mean, assistant commissioners, deputy individuals in charge of different entities. We got to make sure that the pathway is cleared for St. Croix. And I come back to what Redman is saying, because the St. Thomas thing is exactly like him.
Yeah.
They want a development, knock it down, let's go right now.
Yeah.
You want a development in St. Croix, we check in your first, okay? Yeah. Beach access, do you have this, do you have that? So it kind of slows up the process, but the potential that we have exists. And we definitely need to be able to lure some of the development to St. Croix. I was happy to see that they want to redo the hotel and the key, and somebody wanted that bit, everything else, but nothing else have taken place. So it is, how are we going to be able to jumpstart development? You know, we gave a lot. When I was there, I was given the Economic Development Authority like $500,000 a year to market the Virgin Islands, to go and try to bring businesses back to the Virgin Islands. After COVID, there was a big thing with Made in America, and they couldn't get certain drugs from India and other areas. It was the perfect opportunity to be able to remarket St. Croix as a hub for pharmaceutical. Because we had a lot of pharmaceutical companies here at one time. Yeah. Okay, but then globalism, they went there because it was cheaper. But now America is realizing that, but we need some place to be able to make medication that will not be impacted by a war or by a pandemic. Yeah. So the idea then was, hey, take the money, meet with these pharmaceutical companies. You could sell the Virgin Islands, you could sell St. Croix, that we have the infrastructure here that is ready for you to be able to come and invest. Definitely, one of the biggest impediments that you hear from anybody that want to come is WAPA. WAPA is a tremendous impediment to development. So we have to be able to deal with that, because Barbados, they're marketing Barbados as some place that you could come and work.
Offline,
Yeah. okay, online. We had individuals that come to work online and they tell me they had to go back. I had an individual in St. Thomas who said, well, I had to go back because I almost get fired because the power is gone every single day.
Every day.
So despite the fact that I wanted to go. So there's stuff that we need to work on.
We're going to get to WAPA, you know.
Yeah.
But this
The
part
development,
right here, for
we
me,
need to.
is where we're going to come down to like a street level with this conversation. Because it's important to me. St. Thomas don't really have a culture. It commercialized. I'm from St. Thomas.
And we don't want to lose ours.
I don't want you to lose yours. I don't, right? Because I feel like you get one ship come in yesterday. And then, remember the first time I come in the West, couple years ago, maybe 3 years ago, I come in and a girl drive me wrong tongue and I, this is a ghost tongue, man. Like, how come all the building, if this is where the dock is, then why
it look like
the
that?
tongue look like this? Okay, so if this is where the dock is, how come there's no conversation about how do we revitalize these buildings? How do we create economic opportunities so people could purchase these buildings and create things? So, and I'm not saying it's just tourism, but tourism is the start, right? That's just to swing the engine, everything else
And the
should
tongue
follow.
need to be revitalized.
It needs to be revitalized. So they say, oh, well, everything in Christian said. So I say, all right, so let a cruise ship come, Christian said. They say, well, no, it get a coral there and they have like a famous little diving thing. Never heard of it. It can't be famous. Dig it up, kill a coral, put another dock down there. You get 2 docks in St. Thomas. No, we can't do that. The people them go, who go and protest? And you have to ask yourself this question. If we suffering. Something have to give.
Yeah, but,
No,
but those type of things are major coastal zone permits. So you got to go through the feds. You got to go through Army Corps. You got to go through EPA. And they will come down, especially for St. Croix, and tell you plain, you're not going to touch that coral. It's protected.
Okay.
So it's not as simple as a Virgin Island solution.
I got to go jail over it.
No,
And the company.
A simpler thing is to revitalize West.
But you need
do it on the dock and
right.
stop ready.
Well, what needs to be done? A lot of the property in West have owners that are no longer here,
Right.
and some of the owners have died, and the property is now in their children.
Right.
But it's like 10, 11, 12 children. They're battle with
Right.
Probate and all of that.
we probate. One of the stuff that I wanted to do, and I'm going to be proposing is we need a separate probate court. Because we have stuff in probate for 5, 10, 15 years.
Right.
So we need a probate court to just clear the slate. And that probate court should be able to begin with properties in Frederickstead, properties in the town, properties in Christianstead, to get those properties out of probate so that we could develop them. There was the talk about the derelict and blighted building bill. But my position was we need to first approach those owners. If we're going to give out a low-interest loan, I don't want to give it out to somebody that's coming from away. Why can't I give it to the owner?
Right.
Why can't give the owner a low-interest loan so that they could be able to revitalize their building and make income and then pay back the loan? So that's one of the first things we need to do. We need to deal with the probate issues, and then we need to provide some incentive for them to be able to rebuild. And some of it might be federal grants because it's a historic town.
Yeah.
All the towns are historic. So we might be able to get federal grants to be able to rebuild those particular areas. But you definitely need to have the steady flow of commerce coming into Frederickstead, the steady flow of ship, because the more that come is the more that people can develop,
Right.
because they know that they can make money. So if you could say 2026, we're going to the cruise ships, we'll have 200-300 in the tongue of Frederickstead, people can invest.
Yeah.
They're going to approach property owners and they're going to invest because they know that they can make the money.
So the road protected by the historic people too?
No.
Okay, so what happened?
Their monies are there to fix the road. They need to fix them.
Right.
The government house has the money
So if
to
it's
fix all the road in Frederickstead.
Huh?
I needed to vote. The roads are there.
No, I understand. So I understand the derelict building.
Let me
right?
show you how deep this thing is, right? 2015, my first term, Nellie O'Reilly and myself, we passed the Garvey ban, which were monies to pave road. $95 million, or 95, 98. St. Croix get about 50. If St. Croix get 55, I think St. Thomas got 40. We got more because we got more road.
roads, yeah.
But guess what? Before I went there, they were not allowing for St. Croix to get more. They were splitting it even. We said, you got to be crazy. We got 2.5 times the road at St. Thomas. We got to get more money.
Are you struggling with having bad credit? Is having a bad credit score affecting your ability to get approved for the things you need in life? Well, guess what? I could help you out. I could get all those negative items removed if we're talking about inquiries, late payments, collections, charge-offs, repossessions, even bankruptcies. We could get those removed from your credit report. Go on www.credible-source.com and fill out an inquiry right now so we could get you to a better credit score so you could get approved for the things you need in life. Talk to y'all soon. Peace.
The monies were earmarked to fix Melvin Evans Highway, the Scenic Road, some other areas. The St. Thomas money was earmarked for the waterfront, right? I live to see the waterfront filled in with stone, covered, paved, a beautiful promenade, landscape, and Melvin Evans Highway still has not been completed.
Why is that?
Okay.
That's one thing.
Still has not been.
First of all, screw Melvin Evans Highway. The money down here, we go make our way that way. That's the thing. Like, look.
No, but
we
what I'm saying, we
bit,
have the money.
Right.
The monies are there.
Yeah.
Okay. The contracts aren't executed until so late. The monies
Why?
are there because there's always a slow process when anything comes into St. Croix in terms of processing and where it's going to end up and that totem pole in terms of doing
This is what we
it.
need to know. The conversation, we understand it, I agree with you, but we need to know why. That's what we need to know. Because I, as a St. Thomian, and I telling you, I have generations of children going to come after me, and I know for a fact we can't get WAPA. We want to go for even my children in St. Thomas to thrive if St. Croix is still lagging behind. So why?
And it's slow on our end because everything that needs to be approved goes to the sister island. So everything for the sister island that needs to be approved stay there, and everything that needs to be approved from St. Croix goes there. So we have to be able, if you look at the way government structured, there's a lot that need to be changed, but people don't want to hear the change. Because when you speak about the change, then they say, oh, you don't like this particular island. But no, you're just fighting for parity.
No, it's not a particular island.
Office of Management and Budget, they have one employee in St. Croix, about 19 or 20 in St. Thomas. Finance has 40-something or 50 and St. Thomas, and 8 or 9 on St. Croix. So everything, if you have this document, and this document got to go from here to there for St. Croix, but for St. Thomas, you only have to go there. Which one will get approved for? So those are stuff that we need to change because it frustrates you when you know that the scenic road monies have been sitting there from 2015 and the bid just going out now. It frustrates me to see VIP even or whatever company working on the highway and it's working forever. Any other jurisdiction, any other, Parley Joseph Stadium, before I went in the Senate, they're working on that. There's only 5 or 6 people working there. Why is it not completed? $28 million in government monies has been spent on that. And they can't even keep the grass cut. And all of those bridges, okay? Never in the history of St. Croix have you blocked off major roads for such a long period of time. Going on by territorial code, block. East Airport Road, block. The agriculture bridge been closed for 2 or 3 years. And those are, we got to get it done. But the one thing that I want to be able to somehow resolve, and I don't know how I'm going to resolve it yet, because as a senator, you propose bill, you deal with budget, you deal with resolution, you conform commissioners, assistant commissioners, board members. But the job to execute lies in the executive branch. They're the one that they have to implement. I give $2 million to pave this road, you got to pave the road. But if you don't pave it, there's an issue. But the one thing I want to have in place is that on the mainland and in other jurisdiction, if you have a project, my daughter is a civil engineer. She works at Turner Construction. They work on major projects in America. Okay, she's doing the BMW plant in South Carolina, 1 million square foot expansion. They have deadlines. So she's like, Daddy, I got to get this stuff done by this date. I got to get this done. We have 16 months to complete this project. How you could give Parley Joseph Stadium and there's no deadline to finish the project when you have all the monies, but you don't have a deadline, so you're holding them responsible to finish. You start Frederick said pool, you dig it up, you abandon the project for over 1.5 years, you just started a couple of weeks ago. Why aren't contractors given deadlines in the Virgin Islands that you need to complete this project by this date, Or there are penalties. Every other jurisdiction, there are penalties if you don't complete the project. But we just have, we grant an extension, and the island falling apart, especially St. Croix. So we have to be able to have that discussion with property and procurement, with the Attorney General, Office of the Attorney General. Why can't we have deadlines in place and why isn't that being enforced? Because some of them have deadlines, but Public Works granting them extension continuously.
One thing that stuck out to me what you say was there's 20 employees at St. Thomas and there's one in St. Croix in a particular department. And me and Kyle driving on the road.
Super important. You hear your name?
Yeah.
Office of Management and Budget. They
Right.
handle the entire budget.
I have one over here.
And then the next one, at one time we had 0. The next one is Department of Finance.
Right.
Where are checks cut?
Right.
St. Thomas, ain't cut here.
But and that's the thing for me. Like, there's no, to me, when I look at it, as a Virgin Islander, I just happen to be from St. Thomas, right? But it should be no 20 employees over here, 1 employee over here. If the check could cut in St. Thomas, it could cut in St. Croix. It's a piece of paper.
It's supposed to be that way. It should be that way.
Why we gotta go through all of that, right? So we driving, we looking at some buildings, me and Kai looking at some buildings, thinking about real estate. I said, look at that building there. And he said, well, that's the building where the house the rum. And the grass over going down the highway. You know? Okay, so if you ain't have the money to pave the roads, fine. But if you ain't paving the road, because you have the money. So if you ain't paving the road, fine. So what happened? We had clean and pre, remember? Right? You had the youth, them had things to do. We were making a little $15 an hour. We go run the island, we clean up, we cut in the bush on the side of the road. It's no way that they have an island they have 3 main islands in the Virgin Islands. St. Thomas is the capital. It looked like a city. It gained all the benefits. St. John is beaches and tourism and
Bustling every day.
Bustling every day. St. Croix is culture now. This is the heart and soul of who he is as a people, not as a crucian, you know. As a Virgin Islander.
I agree. I totally agree.
This, right? So why it look like this? Like why the grass ain't cut? Like why in certain areas in town, even with the government building days, the sidewalk have
is it maintained?
Yeah. Like I don't understand. Why would it when the tourists come off? Other day we have to finish our interview real fast because Dingo got to make him money at Legends Lounge, right? And we're going over time. He got a tour coming.
Today?
Yesterday. No, we can't do it today. I don't
make your money, brother.
No, he cut me off.
Hey, you got to go. You stop in the process. You got to go.
We wrap it up, right? So the people them coming to Legends Long. Dingo put on a show. After they leave Legends Long, that's it. In Frederickstead, you get 1,200 people coming off a ship and they got to drive from here all the way to Christianstead to have a good time. And they have a historic, if not one of the most historic towns in the Caribbean. You could sell culture here, you know. We can't sell culture in St. Thomas.
No.
We could just sell a good time. But you could sell culture here. People go to different countries. When I go to Dubai, it's to see Dubai culture.
What the cruise ships, they want excursions. The cruise ship industry is something else. You know? It's not always necessarily in the best interest of where they're going to. And I'm glad you brought it up. They want to be able to sell excursions. They want a piece. So if you have an excursion here and you're in agreement with them, they will send tours here every single minute.
Right.
But they want a piece. So when they're going to Christianstead and they're going to Cruz and Rum or Diageo, they have a piece of that tour. The surprising thing that surprised me, I went to the cruise ship, Sea Trade. You know what they said was the St. Croix problem? You don't have enough excursions in which we have a piece. In St. Thomas, they got Megan's Bay, they got all the boats that are going on. They have a piece of all of that. They charge $80. The cruise ship getting a portion of that money. So what I thought was our greatest strength in Frederickstead was our greatest weakness. That was the beach. Because when then tourists come off the ship, they just walk to the beach. They could drink, they could do whatever, the beach is right there, but it's free. So they don't like that. They want to have a party or something where they could pay. They want an excursion. So it is a discussion that we need to have as to how we are going to be able to bring St. Croix fully into the fold. I see the whole area being revitalized. I want to see the beach being taken care of, bring in sand, get rid of all the rocks, beach bar, got local people own everything there. They could come off, they could
Don't
drink.
take 3 years.
But it's a process that need to start. Tourism has maybe, what they have now, I think 20-something employees. They got 4 employees on St. Croix. 4. One is the assistant commissioner. One is the deputy commissioner who's also in festival. One is the assistant. And then there's only 1 tourism employee. Everybody have either resigned or quit in the position. They haven't been filled. So you start off with a deficit. You start off with a deficit.
Where the angst come from? Where the angst come from that the biggest island have less resources? Is it from Fountain Valley 5? Is it from before that?
No.
Like, where did the disconnect come from? Where
The disconnect come from years ago. There was always a fear of St. Croix developing and moving ahead. So St. Croix was not looked at as a part of, it was looked at as competition.
right?
So that was an issue. Your generation is beginning to change that because you're recognizing and not scared to recognize the importance of St. Croix. Before, there was a scare to recognize the importance of St. Croix. As we move away from that, and as we have individuals within government and St. Thomas and St. Croix that realize that this is the potential, that this is where you need to develop, we're going to be able to move forward.
But you could develop St. Croix out the wazoo. Nobody gonna stop coming to St. Thomas. You know? It's an island. So I don't know where the fear come from. That if you develop St. Croix, that we're going to suffer. We're never going to
exactly.
suffer.
Well,
Let me tell you why
we
never
don't
going
believe you'll suffer. We want to develop St. Croix, but I'm saying that mindset.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I don't know where the mindset come from. Let me tell you why St. Thomas will never suffer and why St. Croix have to be developed. St. Croix is out by itself. It's hard to get to the other Virgin Islands from St. Croix. When you come to
We're
St.
completely in the Caribbean Sea.
Exactly.
Not St. Thomas. St. Thomas is Caribbean Atlantic.
Right. So when you come to St. Thomas is going to be a destination because you could go to St. Thomas and then go to St. John and then go to Tatola and go to Virgin Gala all in
go to
one
Jos
day.
Van Dyke.
Jos Van all in one day. So I don't see the need for me to continue selling that. That's naturally going to happen.
It's a draw. It's a natural draw. Yes.
So then if that's a draw and it will never stop, then I don't see why I keep pouring resources. You know what I mean? That's like having 3 wheels and you keep fixing up the wheel, but you don't fix up the engine.
Let me give you a good example, right? We have 3 golf courses on St. Croix. We have Carambola, we have Buccaneer, and we have one out by the reef. St. Thomas had a golf course, it's closed, right? Mahogany Run. They're thinking about taking $10 million to redevelop Mahogany Run for private interest, not for the government. My position was, this is a golf island. If they want to golf, set up an excursion where they could come here and they could golf. They come in the morning, 8 o'clock, they come with the clubs, they golf, you put them back on a plane, they go back to St. Thomas. Just make sure that you get a good package that is affordable. And most people that golf could afford it.
Yeah.
But now they're saying, I just had this argument with a member of the legislature and some staff where they're saying, no, St. Thomas need a golf course. They need to have it because we're the tourists. I'm like, no. If you don't, you're going to be able to develop St. Croix with a niche. Back in the 80s, I used to work for Pan American Airlines. You probably don't know Pan American
Pan Am.
Airlines.
I do.
Pan Am.
I know, Pana.
I'm old.
82,
They're
80,
close.
82, 83. From 82 to 93, I worked for Pan Am. St. Thomas Airport was not completed. St. Thomas Airport was completed sometime late 80s or 90s. It was completed after. Because when I was going to UVI, they were building the airport. The planes could not take off from St. Thomas fully loaded with passengers and fuel because the runway was so short.
Had a little mountain.
Yeah, and it had the mountain. So the planes had to take off from St. Thomas and land where? St. Croix for fuel.
Yeah.
So in the 80s, 82, 83, we had about, Pan Am had 5, American had 5, Midway. We had about 13 planes landing here every single day. To include a plane from St. Martin and one from Point David Martinique. And they came here because back then they used to serve food on plane. We had a myriad that used to provision the plane And we had the fuel. So they had to come here. When St. Thomas Airport opened, I wasn't in politics then, but my position was, don't allow a fuel in depot and St. Thomas. Leave it the way it is because then they got to come to St. Croix. And both islands are going to eat. What they did, they opened up for fuel in depot and St. Thomas. They cut the flights to St. Croix. So a lot of the planes that used to come here were automatically cut because now they could fuel and put on the passengers in St. Thomas. So that is not thinking with a vision that is going to impact both islands. And that's what needs to be done. But in a lot of decisions, it is just not done. And then when they're marketing, you hear the excuses before they even begin to market. You know, hey, how can we get some more flights here? Oh, you don't have enough hotel rooms. Man, we have A, B, and B all over the place. Mm-hmm. Why are you using that as an excuse? You can't go into a marketing and finding an excuse for the person you're trying to bring in and expect them to come in.
Yeah.
But what we could do? I mean, but Shelter, and I personally asked him, why are we not doing this? And that is an excuse. I said, when are we going to get away from that? Which one really come first? So we just have to continuously push for St. Croix. But we need to make sure that we have representatives. That's why I'm running back for the Senate. That ain't scared to push for St. Croix. They ain't scared that you're going to just go out there and push for St. Croix. You're going to push for the Greater Virgin Islands or no. But any St. Thomian, and I tell my St. Thomian friends this, you don't know what we're going through. You don't know the issues on St. Croix. I was telling Janelle, the roads are bad. Janelle, man, things bad. She said, really exaggerating a bit, man.
No.
She came over and she drove through Christiansted. She called me, oh my God, Vialet, it's worse than you told me. I said, that's what I tell you all the time. So I tell St. Thomas and they say, oh, you guys like to complain. No, come and drive, man. Drive in Christiansted. All the whole East Airport Road.
When I was leaving the last time I was here, and because I get to, and I said to myself, this is how it look when you land here. It got to look like this. It don't even look like you come to paradise. It just look like a feeling.
So there's work. There's tremendous work to be done.
You know what
there.
about me?
But we gotta get together.
You know what about me? When we sit around and we point out issues, and we talk about everything that wrong, but we talking about how we to fix it. Like, how do we fix this? Like, St. Croix, a cruise ship park right in, you know. The dock and everything was ready and presentable for that cruise ship to park. When them people come out of the cruise ship, West look like this. We could start in Western. Like really and truly, St. Croix is a larger issue when it comes to St. Croix and a lot of this stuff. But a lady in HR used to tell me all the time, Kyle, what's the fastest way to eat an elephant? Some corny as shit. One bite at a time. If we tackle West, just this,
start
so
there.
we could get more people to come off them ships. Get more ships here, number one. This whole strip could be bustling.
And that's what we need.
Business, with economics.
Go and try to rent one of these places. They're going to try to charge you $1,500.
Yeah, more than that.
Billings and probate. And then the ones that can, they want to overcharge you for it, so you can't even open a business.
Yeah. So,
But one thing that I did that I thought was going to help, right? I have issues with the cleanliness of the tongues, right? Making sure that they're clean. So I was chair of the finance committee for 6 years. So I was able to deal with the budget. I included in the budget 3 dedicated positions for the tongue of Frederiksted, 3 positions for Christiansted, 3 for Charlotte Amali, 3 for St. John, because I wasn't pleased with the cleanliness of the tongues.
Yeah.
And they only have one job, which is to keep the tongue clean.
yeah.
Set aside money to purchase bushwhacker, wheelbarrow, shovel, so that they could just keep the tongue clean. Because in the 70s when I was growing up, there were 2 guys in Christiansted with a wheelbarrow, a big shovel, a broom, and they used to keep all the gutters, everything clean. So we gave them those resources, plus provided a vehicle, a truck for them to drive. Those are individuals are assigned all over the place. We gave them. So it is now up to the executive branch, and I quarrel about it all the time, to make sure that those individuals are placed in the tongue of Frederiksted, the tongue of Christiansted, and clean. We went above that. We bought a street sweeper for St. Thomas, and we bought a street sweeper for St. Croix. You guys ever see it in Frederiksted? We got street sweeper in Public Walk Park up.
Yeah, but you can't sweep a street that ain't a street.
Yeah, but there are
They go
areas,
affect the street
yeah, but
force.
there are areas
Then
back
sweep
at town. There are areas back that could sweep. And there's other stuff that you could implement. But it gotta be done. The issue with the potholes. There was a patch truck on St. Croix. They said the truck wasn't working. Purchase a line item, a patch truck for St. Croix and a patch truck to St. Thomas. Line item, additional positions to hire individuals to work at public work to fix roads. So they have a patch truck. That they could go out and patch on a regular basis. We got to be proactive, but somebody must lead. So if I buy you the patch truck and it's parked up there and it's not being used, you're at a juncture. We bought, and I'm just rambling now because I want to get this in before you take. We have a behavioral health issue. We have an issue with mental illness. I saw that. I passed legislation to take back the property by Anna's Hope. It was the veterans are going to use it for a Legion, American Legion Hall. I took it back because it was a detention center years ago. We visited the detention center. It's still structurally good. It's covered in all the bush. We got a quote from the Commissioner of Health. We said, get a quote as to what it would take to turn this detention center into a small facility for mentally ill patients, because we need to start somewhere. We have no facility in St. Croix. They said it's going to cost $3 million. Get a quote. We passed $3 million to revitalize a facility. They haven't used it up to now. We passed that 6 years ago, 5 or 6 years ago. It has not been used. They said, oh, we want to have a bigger facility. We're waiting for the FEMA money. We passed to get it started. We said, okay, we are going to purchase behavioral health vans. And this was my idea, and Nelly, as to how we're going to be implemented. These vans, you're going to staff with a behavioral health unit, a psychiatric nurse, a social worker, just some basic health personnel. And they would go into the community to meet the homeless where they are, to be able to give them the medication. Because most of the individuals are mentally ill. They don't forget to take their medication. You know, you got to go to the hospital and they drug them up. No, we're going to go to them with this van. We're going to provide the basic medical health care they need, give them a physical. And we know when they're supposed to take the medication, so we're going to make sure that they take the medication. They're not going to come back 100% normal, but they're going to be able to function. Because I have individuals I know who have mental issues, and when they take the medication, they're a lot better. Right. So we're going to meet them there. The behavioral health van park up. We buy one for St. Thomas. It's parked up. They're using it for other stuff. So these are ideas like we need to get it done, but there's a need for the executive branch to implement. You think anybody like to see the parent walk in the street? You know what it is? When a child come into school all traumatized because they saw their mom walking naked down the street the day before, they can't function for days. Yeah. You know what it is? And we just driving across, people taking video of people that are naked and laughing about it. There's nothing funny about any of those incidents. Yeah. Freddie said have more and more homeless people popping up among. Freddie said, what are we doing? Yeah. You know, how are we going to be able to address them? There's just a start small with the basic stuff now. We can't hire a psychiatric nurse. Yeah. I pass a scholarship. Anybody in the Virginia, you got a good platform, that want to go to medical school, they have their bachelor's degree and they're accepted to medical school to study to become a psychiatrist, fully paid by this government. It's right there. I don't think we have had one person because they're not advertising it the way they're supposed to. So we need to look. These days of us being able to function the way we used to function, them days gone. No? Yeah. We need to see how we're going to be able to meet this need of this community. Yeah. Because you're going to lose it. Yeah. You're going to lose it.
We're slowly losing it.
So let me show you something too, right?
Before you start, let me get some of that famous Blue Magic from Legends Lounge, you know? They have another drink.
I will taste it.
Yeah, taste it now. Yeah. This is a good time to taste it. They got another drink, you know. We ain't find, you know what name?
I Am Legend.
The I Am Legend.
I Am Legend.
You know? This one is for tourists, the other one is for locals.
I cannot say ingredients because I want to give
away.
Yeah,
we can't give away. That's confidential information. Confidential information. I Am Legend. No, this is Blue Magic.
It's good.
This is Blue Magic.
Found only at Legends Lounge.
Yeah.
Tastes like a lady's drink, but it's good.
Cup, man.
It's a lady's drink.
I hold it. You
want
me to drink that right now?
Look like your cup, man. Yo.
I ain't want to drink alcohol, me want Vialet, trick me into anything, eh? I got to stay sober. Okay, thank you.
We
Cup
have
man.
the same mindset in terms of wanting better for the Virgin Islands.
Yeah.
Right.
And I have no issue with working along with anybody that want the best for the Virgin Islands. You might have a different opinion here or there,
Right. Yeah.
but I want you to have the best interest of the Virgin Islands and not yourself.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I have nothing else to gain.
Yeah.
You know, I put in 37 years in government. My 2 children are already educated. They're good.
Yeah.
My father is good. I don't have anything to gain, but all of those coming up have to gain.
So my thing is, like I say, big on financial literacy, right? And we talk about so much thing. We talk about not having access to capital. We talk about probate. Why we can't beautify the street because a lot of these property and probate. Why? Because nobody had a will. Nobody had actually trust.
A living
Them-
trust or
them
anything.
Type of thing.
Yeah.
So them is things that need to be taught in the schools. We don't learn about chemistry. We learn about algebra. We learn about all these stuff.
Yeah.
But financial literacy, to me, needs to be implemented as early as a kid could start to learn, as early as they could count. This type of thing need to happen because it's going to breed better communities.
It needs
A
to be included in
smarter-
the curriculum.
A smarter community to know the risks involved in not having a living trust. Because look how it's not just affecting your family, affecting the whole community.
No, but explain the living trust, because people need to know what it is.
Okay, so I ain't gonna pretend that I is a big masterpiece and I know a bunch.
No, just
about
a
living
basic.
trust. But pretty much, a trust is pretty much okay. A will is you saying, "Hey, I write this will out. I leave this land to Red Man or whatever the case."
Don't leave
may
it
be.
to me.
Right?
I sell it.
After that, it'll go into probate.
Believe
It'll
you.
stay there for a bunch of years. It'll take longer. So now a trust is something a little bit more safer, where it's like, okay, boom, this trust is an entity, and Red Man is a employee
Of
or
the trust.
of this entity of the
Right.
trust. So now, when I did, I was in charge. It automatically go to him. So we don't got to fight around and sit around and wait for probate courts to tell anybody else 3 years to tell us.
And the trust could have
that,
a governance.
hey,
It don't
they
have
said-
to be
you know
one
what I mean?
person. It could have a body.
Exactly.
Right?
That's just the dummy
In-
version, guys.
Right.
And I don't come for me if I didn't get some right, but that's a dummy version.
Okay.
But the key, and why I asked you to explain it, the key is that, and I've been trying to say this publicly,
Right.
you know that you have an aging parent. Encourage them to get the papers in order.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
Encourage them to either get that living trust or get a will that is clear and
Yeah,
defined as to
yeah,
who going
and
to get what.
precise,
Because
yes.
there are too many properties
Yes.
that are being fought over.
Yes.
There are properties that could have received federal help, but nobody have a deed.
Yeah.
Because it's in 6-7 persons' name.
yeah.
And if it's in 7 name, and you have a brother or sister that got 10 children, and
Yeah.
a brother or sister pass away, those 10 names are added on. So you got properties that have 40, 50 people,
Yeah.
as owners.
Yeah.
So right now, I mean, and this is a good platform, all of the older individuals, or even if you're not old, because you don't know when you're going to go, try to do that as quick as possible. Me and my wife just spoke about it. So
Yes.
we're going to make sure that our house is in order, that in the event anything happened to us, there's no argument.
Yes.
It's just not going to stay there abandoned. Because you think we have abandoned property here. Walk the neighborhoods.
Yeah.
You walk a lot of neighborhood. Because we were canvassing neighborhood walking.
Yeah.
There are a lot of abandoned property where the grass grew up. You can't see the home anymore where people use it. There's a lot. And there's nobody that's coming back.
Yeah.
To be able to take care of those properties. That's the next area I want to look at. If you have all of these abandoned property, there's literally no one.
Yeah.
What do you do? Can you pay the market value for the property, put the money in escrow for the family if the family want to come back, and then you sell the property
Yeah.
to somebody so they could, because we have a home ownership issue.
Yeah.
So can you turn over those property in the neighborhoods to individuals who want to purchase a home that is damaged, and they're going to go and they repair it, everything else, and you keep the money
Yeah.
in an escrow account for any descendants of the family that might want to come back.
Yeah.
And you can even have a period where you give them a reclamation period for
Yeah.
X amount of time. If they don't, then you move on.
Yeah.
I want to make one statement.
Go ahead.
The school thing like Bailey, what we need to do, implement pathway by man or even have more hand skills, educational.
I agree.
Nowadays, school change. Everybody's in this book thing, and he feels that for everybody, a man put the hands. No youth nowadays learning carpentry, mason, the whole make gone time. So therefore, if you one track mind as far as just books alone, if you watch it nowadays, or you tell me just books alone, they know nothing about outside. We got about the curriculum. I used to do agriculture. I used to be in agriculture school. When I in school, I make money because them man pastor with them, we planting food, and I selling it to my teachers them. I even get so smart, I buy them mango, the lazy man them, I buy them mango.
And sell it.
Sit up, and I will make money off of them mango. So that's what teach me to hustle from like school days. Ain't got that no more. Everything does with choking in, I mean, book. Ain't got no vocational, but they ain't doing nothing to it. Or when them ain't coming on with no kind of vocational skills, well, yeah, they just push it, don't get me back, me saying college.
No, but you're not saying anything wrong, and
Everybody need a hand skill. If I teach you to build a pool, that table there, nobody can take that from you. But if I put a pool table and they'll still use it, you can't build it. You can build a next pool table, if that break, to make a next one. That's what happened to you them. They ain't hand skill no more. They hand skill gone out of school. So therefore, just this mindset alone, like, you got to do this with school, and 90% of what you ever graduate today, what they got? They ain't even fulfilling the job that they went to school for. You know that. They come back here as a technician and they go work as a teacher. They come back here as a lawyer and you get a part-time lawyer job and they need somebody working. You can't even get your lawyer appointment. I have seen it. So I want people to get back to to me, hand skill is what especially the youth man them need. Ain't no more hand skill man no more. So when all the builders and so that's when we got to employ the Haitian them.
correct.
Right. They ain't teaching the youth them wrong and no more hand skills. That's why we when a man know a trade that will take you long. You know what I mean? It's like when you teaching a man to fish. You teach a man to fish, you feed yourself for a lifetime.
Yes. Yes.
That's what they don't do no more. I see, to me, that's what I see in the education. You ain't teaching the youth them no more hand skills, man, and you need that. For agriculture. Watch what agriculture around here. I don't go agriculture, my brother. Every Saturday, I don't plant okra and things. And the agriculture department does not even have a booth there to say, well, they're selling food. They're buying food from people, agriculture workers, and you have the biggest establishment.
And that's the thing for me. Another thing in St. Croix is like, okay, they love to talk that St. Croix is an agricultural place. How is not St. Croix feeding the U.S. Virgin Islands? Why are we importing so much foods? If we have the land over here, and I say it's only, the thing with St. Croix, right, it's not only one thing, you know. It's agriculture, it's infrastructure, it's economics, it's tourism. They have everything. So how it is when my child go to Charlotte or Mali to eat food, it's processed and it's natural. And then we care about health care. When you eat healthy foods here, without pesticides, without things that will harm you. So again, my mission, and you asked me earlier what the purpose of the platform is, and Kyle told you, is awareness. Is starting, because I'll be on the internet all day. I'll talk shit one time, I'll talk justice the next time. And I guess if it ain't in a professional setting, they ain't grasping. I'm desperate. That's why I'm an extremist, you know? Because to me, people seem to be relaxed about the situation, as if we have time. And I operate from a place, we've been out of time before I become a man. So it can't become a man now and still be thinking that we don't have time. We don't have time. Jamila, the woman who would have been on the radio, I remember on the radio tell her one time, I said, listen, for me, I'll blow it all up and start over again. You know? I would rather lose generations to restart. Like sacrifice a couple generations just to restart it right, you know? Because if you keep going on this path, you're trickling, edging. By the time you pass and I pass, they're still edging.
Yeah, but the people need to understand the role of their voice and the importance of their voice. And to me, so many individuals, they don't show that there's some sense of urgency or they want it done. St. Thomas, they have had a rolling block also like a month and a half or two, right?
Jesus Christ.
And they had a protest recently in reference to
5 people show
WAPA.
up?
Only like 20 people showed up. So you're not showing the magnitude of the problem. You know, you've had issues in Puerto Rico. They shut the government down. Everybody come out. If you had St. Thomas shut the government down because of the WAPA issue, there'll be some urgency. But when you're not acting like there's any urgency, it becomes a problem. You know, they both differ just now because Dingo said, there's a vocational school. And he's right. There is a CTEC. But the CTEC isn't staffed. So there are issues as to why they can't find teachers. We tell them, hey, be creative. You bring on people part-time because a Mason ain't coming to work for 30, 40,000. They could make that in one job.
Exactly.
But you would be able to bring a Mason on that would give 2 hours to the school, you teach them, and then you allow the students to use that same Mason for apprenticeship program where they go and they learn additional skills. He is getting labor, not paying a cost, and he's able to train them. We got to be creative. We got to get that going. We have some good farmers in St. Croix, some that expanded, but there's so much more to do. The farmer by agriculture, the one in the corner, next to Granty Samuel, I can't remember those guys' name. Granty have an excellent farm, and then there's the next one in the corner. He growing everything, lettuce, peppers. I mean, he's selling to the supermarkets, etc. We got Rogers, but it's a myriad that he supplies all of the seniors with fresh fruits and vegetables. But the one by agriculture, he want more land. He has already cultivated the 15 acres he's on, and he's saying, hey, give me 30 more. And the agriculture department, they're slow to give him anything. They're just dragging their feet. So again, it's always like bureaucracy. If I know you got something working, you cultivating 15 acres and you tell me you want 31, I got 31, I'm giving it to you. Cultivate as much as you can. So we could get that going. We have a lot of small livestock farmer and St. Croix, but these are areas that we got to invest in. My friend got 100 head of sheep and goat, but the abattoir is closed. So they can't kill nothing. So what do? You're in a predicament. Either you got to do a bush kill because your herd is now getting too big. So you're sending and forcing people to do this or that. So we got to support these industries. Agriculture has $1 million extra every year in order to market and do what they need to do. We gave them that. Sports park and recreation got $1 million every year for sports tourism and to be able to invest in teams and let them travel and get experience. Literally, so much has been done to invest in the community. It is now for individuals to get into a job and do the job. And the big difference with then and now, we had youth commission and St. Croix, anti-litter beautification, etc. But they had somebody who was dedicated to make it work. They put their all in to make it work. We need a generation of individuals. Not waiting on the government or Senate or nothing. They have a job. They're going to make it work. When a principal, I'm making my school work. That's my job. Me waiting on education. I'm waiting that we don't have sufficient money. Teachers are not. I'm doing whatever possible to make sure that it works out for our island, our children. This is our home. And there's no place better than this. So we got to give our all. And I always encourage everybody, if you have the ability to make this place better, then do it.
Well, you spoke about those 20 people who protested, and it should have been more. I think the problem is that there's a lot of fear, right? Like, there's corruption in the government. There's people that are going to use their political stature to oppress
penalize,
people,
yes.
penalize people, fire people, find reasons to, have angst with people and stuff like that. And it's really sad to see. With such a small community, you feel like, well, if I go protest WAPA, my mother working for the administration.
I heard a lot. I heard a lot of that when I was running.
Right.
I'm supporting you, but I can't support you publicly because my granddaughter works for the government. By this, and I'm like, the land of Queen Mary.
Right.
When we come to the point that we are so scared. When I was working, I was a classified employee. You can't fire me.
If it done hard already, then you get fired. It's harder.
If you're classified, they got to hire you back.
Right.
But you can't let fear dictate your life.
I agree.
Because when you let fear dictate your life, then they're going to do whatever they want. Because they know that they just got to dangle that fear over your head. Right. And you're going to buckle and be quiet. A lot of time, I say this to that personally. I ain't getting no response.
Right.
But when I reach home, my phone is beginning to ring or getting text. You are so right. You are this. You are that. Continue with that fight. Yeah, but I need some people to fight to me. Sometimes I feel like I die alone.
Yeah.
Because who's fighting?
Yeah.
So 12 hours. Remember?
What?
When we were in St. Thomas
Oh,
last time?
yeah.
12 hours straight, no power. I almost give up on the Virgin Islands.
Yeah.
12 hours straight, no power.
I went 3.
So before you go, 12 hours straight, no power. Nobody at one point had enough after 12 hours straight and no power. The old lady who hooked up to the breathing machine, she can't breathe now. The people them on dialysis, they can't get dialysis now for 12 hours straight. The elephant in the room with that is What is going on with WAPA? What is the solution? Where do we start? We live on an island. Nobody tell me nothing about hydroelectricity. There's a lot of transparent. I don't ever hear the governor or anybody in government say, you know what? Listen, we have a problem in WAPA. If you come and tell me, hey, we're going to take 300,000 and consult with these people to find a solution. If you do that, you don't come back and say what the discussion was. You don't tell us what we're doing moving forward. There's no idea. I telling you right now, anytime Georgia go without power for 12 hours, them people in Georgia, they're going to be on the street.
And somebody will be fired.
They're going to pay for it.
Somebody going to be sent home.
I ain't in government. I just a citizen feeling the effects of it. I live in a state. I feeling my brothers, my sisters, my family members going through all of these things. And it's not like it just started. As I went through it when I was living there, but now it's becoming extreme.
It's progressively worse, especially in St. Thomas.
Where we are with that? What is the issue? How do we fix this? Where do we go? There's sea and wind surrounding us. There's sunshine 24/7. And you mean to tell me we can't have clean energy here at all? We buying generators from where? We buying fuel from where? We don't have any money to buy fuel. We're taking the money, my head gonna explode. I need to understand.
The first thing that we felt needed to be done, and we had a subcommittee on WAPA. We had a subcommittee on GRS. We had one on WAPA. I chaired the one on GRS, and that was a result of the SPV that helped to keep the system solvent. We had one on WAPA, and Janelle chaired it. And the first thing we realized was that we need a qualified board, and not a board that is filled with political appointees that just don't understand the situation and do whatever whoever is in charge tell them to do. So we passed a bill to make sure that we have subject area expertise within the board. You know, we'll have to have an engineer on the board to deal with when they're purchasing the units, etc. We have somebody as an accountant to deal with the finances of WAPA. We have an attorney to deal with the legal issues. We came up with a different composition that would make sure that we have subject area experts so that when they're making decisions from a point of knowledge, a point of knowing what is going to take place. Because no matter how they spin it, the propane project carried the Virgin Islands way backwards because it started at 87 million and it rose to over 160 million. And then they signed an agreement where after they finish building it, they're going to lend us the money. So they actually loan us 167 million and then they're getting it back at 14% interest alone. And then you have to buy the fuel from them alone and you have to allow them for the operation and maintenance of the facility. When I started working there, it was $4 million for the operation and maintenance. It's now $12 million for them to run the propane facility.
Who
so
strike that deal?
You research it and you'll see who.
Strike that deal?
I'll tell you. It was during the Young administration. So we saw that didn't work out the way it was supposed to. So we said, hey, let's come up with a real board that understands the issue that they're going to be dealing with so that when decisions are made, they can say yes or no from a point of knowledge.
Right.
The bill passed. The bill was vetoed. We override the bill and said, no, this going into effect. When we overrode the bill, the governor carried it to court. So he carried it to Superior Court. Superior Court ruled on behalf of the legislature that the legislature had the right to do it. He appealed it to the Supreme Court. So it's now still held up in the Supreme Court. So that was the beginning. They brought in, the federal government told the Virgin Islands, here, purchase 4 fuel-efficient units for St. Thomas to have that Unit 23. That's the worst unit. These 4 units could replace Unit 23. Those units have been sitting on St. Thomas for 4 years, not hooked up. 4 years. They just said about 3 weeks ago that, we settled with Watsilla. They want an additional $10 million and they're going to get the units online by May.
These units, washing money then?
Yeah, you said it. These units have been there for 4 years. You have units that are supposed to be more fuel efficient and they haven't brought them online.
That's what
Worse. So worse, but here this part.
Go ahead.
The worst part is that the units are supposed to be configured to run on propane. Propane is cheaper than diesel, way cheaper. They said just recently, when we commission the units, we're going to run it on diesel. And then after a while, we're going to reconfigure them for propane. That doesn't make sense. Propane is cheaper. It's way cheaper. St. Croix was running 100% propane. St. Thomas was running like 65 or 70, and St. Thomas has never run on 100% propane because it's fuel contracts that's embedded. So somebody got a contract for these diesel fuel. You can't cut off and run all propane because propane, Vito, no. So you got to have these contracts. So there's been a series of mismanagement.
And we care about children.
Serious mismanagement, right? That has caused this government so much more money that we're consistently paying back for now. The smart meters, right? That was like over a $20 million contract. You know? They don't work. Somebody almost went to jail for that. They don't work. But they got a contract. The street lights, after the hurricane, that contract was for like $27 million. I think we paid $24 million. Oh, I want to say the WAPA paid $24 million. And the contract was never completed. If you go in by Caribbean Automat, where Toyota is and St. Croix, look inside, you're going to see all of the extension for the poles where the light are going. You're going to see over 1,000 of them with grass growing over that was purchased to light up this island. And they're sitting there, and when you ask them, they say, we're going to carry the company to court. The company never went to court. So we need better management. We need management that is going to run it like they want the residents of the Virgin Islands to receive a lower rate. I've already begun to ask a question. When those Watsila come on and we cut the fuel costs, what is the savings to the government? The governor just announced a very good move that HUD is going to give us $100 million to pay for the Vital facility. When we pay that, that's dead half of the top. Our rate's supposed to go down.
Right.
When you bring the solar farm, 10 megawatts, that's on Eastern, and they're building the next 10 megawatts in Hogansburg, how are you going to pass that on to the people? Yeah. When they asked that question, the answer was, we owe a lot of money, so we're going to collect it off the top for a while, and then maybe 2 years from now, we'll pass on the savings. No, you got to pass on a portion of the savings now. Yeah. Because that school lunch worker and the custodian, when they pay the $300 WAPA bill, they check done. WAPA could be fixed, but we need appropriate management. We need a board that is going to do the job, and we need to get all these projects fully implemented and not being spoken about every other month.
At face value, it just look like, okay, we're going to do this. We know it ain't going to work. And when it don't work, let's ask for some more money so we can make some more money.
Correct.
And then that don't work. And then let's ask for some more money.
It's like you're trying to buy time.
It's almost, not even buy time. It's almost like they're doing it wrong on purpose so that you could keep asking for money so you could continue to make money. That's why it seems like, because it can't be that hard, guys. So, in 2024, bro.
An engineer told me that an engineer that's not from the Virgin Islands, right? He said...
One before you say that, remember before the Billiard Haven, on the bay, they used to have these tunnels, and the water used to wash in and out. And as a child, I used to go over there, and I just, my father used to be on a big gambling, drinking, doing whatever they're doing. I sit down there and watch that water go in and out, in and out. And as I get older and I start to understand about hydroelectricity and stuff, and I'm saying to you, WAPA right down there on the shoreline. And I don't know, maybe have codes with federal and you can't dig here and dig. It's no way you can't tell me that we don't have turbine things up when that water just washing in and out. It turning these things so it could create energy. I just don't understand why in 2024 we suffering with $600 light bill, $300 light bill.
With no AC in the house.
No AC in the house. Crazy. And then they're telling me, we're giving you, we come in, you ain't reading my meter, It's an estimate.
And that's illegal.
How? And why? So, okay, you don't want to protest because you're scared to lose your job? You don't have to protest no more. You have a mic. You have a social media. You have something to say. And you have a vote. Okay, why you ain't voting?
Correct.
Or why you ain't voting against it? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like I tell you, they kill me for supporting mapping. And I tell them, you're going to suffer. And now you're suffering. And even when now you're suffering, you're afraid to speak up. Yeah. And you're trying to convince me that you love your children. You love your child when somebody do your child something particularly. When your child gets shot down in the street. When sufferation reach your door, that's when you care. You don't care when it at anybody else's door. You walk around, most people walk around here so pompous. They never commit a crime. You committing the biggest crime of negligence
Against
by
humanity.
not even opening up your mouth and throwing your weight around while they suffer. You can't care about your children.
Yeah.
It's impossible to me. It's really frustrating to me now. Like, it pains me to see that as a U.S., like when you say some other country going through something, and we's part of a U.S. territory, are we going through this? I could see, sometimes I feel like just let the federal government come in and take over everything because it's nonsense how doing it there.
There's a possibility that you're going to reach to that point, because when you're not spending your money the way you're supposed to, when you're mismanaging, when you're allowing federal funds to go back, it's only a matter of time before they say, hey, you guys aren't running your finances. They did it in Puerto Rico. That's why they went into Puerto Rico. That's why there's a promesa in Puerto Rico. But we have to be able to stand up. This generation ain't fighting and standing up the way that they need to. I remember in my early years of teaching, both me and my wife were teachers, and we strike on the line for 2 weeks with no paycheck to protest for better pay. Now you call a strike, barely anybody coming out. They're ducking in, they're going inside, they're making an excuse. You gotta fight.
Let me tell you why. I want to tell you why right now. The worst thing that happened to us is distractions.
Oh yeah.
You see what I'm saying? And social media is a good tool,
But it's also a distraction.
but it's a major distraction. Instead of facing your problems, you get to go on social media and escape into a wall that ain't even real.
Sometimes not even using your real identity. So they're very relaxed now.
You understand what I'm saying? So these people ain't really in tune with the sufferation. They're just escaping into social media, going to the little shows, going to the little bars, thing. It's only when it hit them personally. But by then, Vialet,
It's too late.
too late.
Yeah.
It's too late. In your generation, it didn't have that. You had to be knowing what's going on in St. Thomas and St. Croix. Now you don't have to know what's going on in St. Thomas and St. Croix. You could sail away into Toronto and see what's going on over there and live in that little bubble. What's happening in Arkansas, what's happening across the wall, the Kendrick Lamar, the Drake, the whatever going on. You could escape the Virgin Islands through the internet and forget about the real problems that happen. And they don't never lack off. Remember, TV used to turn off, After a certain time, at night, ain't nothing showing on the channel. No, the channel don't never shut off. Your mother gonna sleep, your father gonna sleep. You're just consuming. That's what I tell you, St. Thomas is like America now, because that's how they reflect. They consume that and they reflect that. You don't look like that. You don't move like that. We don't act like that. We don't carry, you know what I'm saying? So it's a deeper issue, and it begins as we first started with when Kyle was telling you about education, financial literacy, and sorting curriculums we put in place to try to combat a global pandemic called social media. We're not looking at it deep enough. So we have to fight it on all fronts. In the present, we have to fight the present, which is the present things that are happening in politics, cost of living, quality of life, WAPA, all these other things. And then we still have to, in turn, simultaneously combat the future.
And the future is AI, which is going to be even more. Let me give you an example, right? And I agree with what you're saying. And I have been telling educators that we need to make some decisions in reference to social media and the use of social media in school, with students just openly utilizing social media. You know, you see something that's occurring and you have a test, that could throw your whole brain off because you can't. But we had online learning for 2 years. 2 years. Longest in the nation. And you had somebody that was in second grade. So the second and third grade, they were learning online. They now come to school for fourth grade. You ask them, 4 plus 4. they take out their phone and they calculate it in. You know why? They were on the computer, and every basic math that you gave them, they had the use of a phone or the computer right there to do it. So they never learned the basic facts. So when you allow them to continue to use this and not understand the basic facts, it is hard for that child now to be able to critically think or to process anything. But we have not realized how we're damaging our children by allowing them to use this tool for learning. And high school students take a picture of a test and they send it out to everybody, and everybody know the questions before they go to the class.
It's the easiest thing to do as a parent, you know. Like when your child causing problems or they being annoying, hey,
Yeah.
watch this.
When last
You're setting them up for failure, bro.
look at the supermarket, right? You go in a supermarket, you see children in a cart. They're on a tablet, right? You don't see nobody no more flipping through a little book or anything. Or no. They're on a tablet. You have small children and you throw a ball to them, they can't catch it. They're 9, 10 years old. They've never put a glove on. They can't dribble a ball. They're on a tablet all day. They come on you for everything. So you have to be able to balance.
I learned to drive by sitting in a passenger seat behind my father.
And looking at
kinda
everything he's
watching him,
doing. Yes.
So by the time it's for me to get behind a wheel, I got a gist of what's going on. Matter of fact, I learned how to get home by looking out the window and making landmarks. My daughter asks you how to get home, she don't know. Her face down,
because they're
anything,
engrossed,
While
yes.
she driving, while we driving, when I push in front of the wheel, I have no clue. Not an idea how the wheel I walk. This thing right here, this social media
So
thing is easy access.
we have to regulate it.
Have to.
And you start within the schools. And it's something that I'm requesting that the Board of Education do. In San Francisco, just last month, they're banning all phones in schools across the entire district because they said the impact is so great. I was at the Head Start opening ribbon cutting last week by Concordia. There's a 0 to 3 Head Start. We have a pre-Head Start in St. Croix. The presenter came and they said that they have, I can't remember the word they used for the playground, but they specialized playground. And they said it was so important now because the playground teaches them basic skills, how to communicate, hand-eye coordination, how to play, and they list everything. And they said that this generation of 0 to 3-year-old, they're losing that because you're putting a device in their hand from so young. So they're not learning how to play. When you're raising up, you want to play, you go outside. Now, if they want to play, they go in their room, they lock themselves in. There's no communication. So there's a lot of decisions that we need to make. And some of them are hard decisions, and some of them are going to make your life harder. Because when you tell a child to watch the TV and get them a device, your life is easy, you know. They hook to that for 2-3 hours. You could do whatever you want. But it's to their detriment. So how much are you willing to lose in terms of the developmental skill moving forward? When you have a child doing all the addition on the phone, they never learning the basic fact. I go into a store and I have to pay $16. I give the cashier a $20 bill. And then I give her a $1 bill after. Vialet, were you trying to confuse me? I trying to confuse you. I want back a 5. I don't want 4 singles. I want back, but they cannot process that.
Right.
They can't process it because they're not doing the mental math on a regular basis. So you're becoming a crutch to this. So your brain ain't developing. Your brain is like your muscles on it. You got to work it for it to stay sharp. You know, but hopefully you guys are younger. So hopefully some of what you say, people will take heed and become a reality. Because, oh, well, again, old man, he just said, oh, no. I'm seeing the reality of us not engaging each other and making sure that our children learn how to communicate and play at an early age. You got 0 to 3, 0 to 4-year-old. The best thing you could teach that child, how to communicate, how to play, and how to listen. If you have a child that understands how to listen, they go to school. Because when they go to class, they can just listen. And my daughter told me that one. She said, Daddy, the key to learning, Daddy, is you just got to listen. You go to class to listen. That's the first part. You practice. And then you're ready. She said, really, it's so hard. The teacher really explained it good. They didn't understand because nobody was listening. You are playing around, you're having a good time. And then you have those who might be a smart student that understand everything, but then they're harassing everybody in class because they don't have it, and you following them. Like, oh God, so like you probably did. You know, so, but we have opportunities to change the place, and I'm going to continue to push to be able to change the Virgin Islands and change St. Croix.
So we're running for governor again at some point.
Are you struggling with having bad credit? Is having a bad credit score affecting your ability to get approved for the things you need in life? Well, guess what? I could help you out. I could get all those negative items removed if we're talking about inquiries, late payments, collections, charge-offs, repossessions, even bankruptcies. We could get those removed from your credit report. Go on www.credible-source.com and fill out an inquiry right now so we could get you to a better credit score so you could get approved for the things you need in life. Talk to y'all soon. Peace.
I haven't made up my mind in all honesty. Right now, I want to go back and run for, I'm running back for Senate. And I want to see how I could stabilize that branch.
Yeah.
And make that branch.
How do we usher in the young folks who want to come into politics? You know what I mean?
We'll have to really find some of the parties and get away from the old party politics and usher in, because we got some young brains that are good, you know, they're ready, but we got to be able to bring them in and then teach them. And the sad thing is, some young ones are coming in, you know, but they're teaching them the old ways. You don't want to teach them the old way that already destroyed the place. You want to teach them how we're going to be able to move forward. So I'm looking forward to hopefully some individuals being elected that are willing to provide the oversight. Because that's a Senate job, oversight. I'm going to call you in and ask you the same question over and over until you get it done.
Right.
And if you ain't get it done this time, I'm going to call you in a month from now and a month from now. I'm going to make you look like an idiot until you get it done. But now they're getting a pass. Schools getting ready to open. They're going to hearing as to whether the schools are ready. You know when the hearing going to happen in August after the schools open and everybody going to be in uproar? You should be walking to the schools right now and complaining and having a hearing, well, why isn't Claudia Marco kitchen being worked on?
Right.
Do it now. Let's fight for this place. You can't fight after an emergency or after something happened. Oh, as you said, you saying the best way. When it happened to you, when sufferation meet you at your doorstep.
Right.
Then you're going to complain, well, the hospital, oh God, I got an airlift. Well, we've been airlifting people every single day for the last years. Because we don't have the staffing, you know, so... We got to do what we got to do. We got to do what we got to do.
Right. So we have two segments we that do. Serious, non-serious segments. You're going to go on the hot seat, you know, okay?
I thought you were just telling me to wrap it up. Maybe you're telling me.
Oh, no. We close.
Okay.
But we got to get through this part there first. Yeah, you got to drink all, you know. I would advise you to drink all now. Because you're going to need it. Yeah, which one we go with first?
Let's do the currency bag.
The currency bag. So the currency bag is actually either or, right? We know when you St. Croix, we're going to start off with the easiest one. East or west?
That's not a good question.
That is the easiest one.
And that's the easiest one.
That's the easiest one.
No, that's not a good question to ask somebody who's running for politics. You got to be kidding. I would never answer that question. St. Croix. When I say St. Croix, I would never answer that. St. Croix.
We
don't divide it.
You got to make sure you get out the West first.
I love my West will take care of me. I love West. I love East. I love West.
So West.
No, St. Croix. I gotta give you I gotta give you the answer.
Okay. You know what?
Yeah, let me see. All right, this one I get a little. This one might be a little easier. General Budho or Queen Mary?
General Budho.
Why?
Emancipation.
Okay.
She fought for rights after the emancipation, but he paved the way.
Okay, that's deep. Jamban or Vayo?
And you could be honest, you know. Be
Yeah,
honest, you know. Be honest, you know. Okay.
Jamban was just iconic.
Yeah.
They just a total different level. I come from the Jamban era, and I really come from the Jamban era. I come from Kill the Rabbit and all of those music, you know. So Jamban was just really, really, really off the chart. We lost a lot when Nick Friday died.
Yes.
We really Virgin Islands, Calypso music, we lost a tremendous amount. Jamban.
Definitely.
Sorry, Alwyn.
But Alwyn is my partner, and Alwyn does a lot of taping and everything from here.
You are part of Jamba too, so it's okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Let me see. We're gonna jump into the real one now. Coconut tart, guava tart, pineapple tart.
Don't answer.
Not going to answer that
Before
one.
you answer, my vote is dependent on this answer. I just line
Well,
you
I
right
think
now.
I think I got your vote. 'Cause I heard you're a pineapple man, and
Okay,
I'm also a pineapple man.
All right, then.
Pineapple.
Brother.
But we then below on the totem pole because I went to Tart Wars and everybody was like, "Fella, what you doing? When you wear yellow pineapple, you gotta be kidding." But pineapple.
You know what? Like, since we're having this discussion, guys, coconut, in the Virginas, you could walk down the street, find coconut trees all over. You
Yeah.
find guava trees all over.
Yep.
I ever see a pineapple growing any place in
That
Virginia?
is the point.
Yes, we got pineapple in St. Croix.
Wait.
But that
We
is,
have pineapple in St. Croix.
Wait.
right. But listen, but
You
that,
ever see a
but
pineapple in somebody's
that is
backyard?
the point.
I never see a
Coconut-
pineapple in St. Croix growing.
No.
Coconut
You see pineapple
is
grow,
poor
yes,
people
somebody,
food. Easy. Fat on the
somebody
ground.
plant
You
a
great.
pineapple someplace in a garden.
That's okay.
They don't
I
grow
got you.
wild like
You
coconut
right. I got
and
you.
guava.
I understand.
Them thing is pie. It's a pie.
No, that's not a pie.
It's a pastry.
No.
It's not a tart.
No, what I'm saying to you
I
is...
say pineapple be disqualified
It's
from the tart conversation.
it's
It don't even
exquisite.
belong here.
No, it's
not
exquisite.
even native to here.
No.
Listen, coconut and guava, yes.
It's
Pineapple,
easy, that's easy.
let the Hawaiian them fight about pineapple. Okay? They belong down here in a
No, that's
Virginia
easy.
conversation.
Pineapple are also imported into Hawaii.
No, that's
So it's
easy.
not it.
Coconut
You ever lose no
easy.
votes for saying you don't love pineapple? You know?
No, I love pineapple.
You just gain a lot.
I love
Yeah,
pineapple.
You gain my support.
I just thinking
and
how
that
I'm going to
comes
be
a lot.
able to galvanize some pineapple people for next year to have a better showing.
I feel.
So this one in a either or question is a question I want to ask you. Out of all the governors in the Virgin Islands that came to pass, which one is your favorite and was more impactful to you?
It's a good question. Some of them were there when I was a child.
Right.
Okay, the first elected governor was Melvin Evans. I was 6 years old, and then King. In all the research and everything I've done in reference to Cyril King, he was quite impactful. Sadly, he didn't last the entire term, and he died after 2 years in his term. But I think he made a tremendous impact to the Virgin Islands. Melvin Evans made a tremendous impact. Wang Louis built the hospitals, Wang Louis Hospital along with Snyder Hospital in St. Thomas. In recent times, I think one of the most decisive governors was Governor Snyder. He was totally no nonsense. You know, he tell you to do it, you do it. A lot of things changed during his administration, but sadly, a lot of people didn't re-elect him because they didn't want to deal with all the mandates that he had. You know, but we need governors that are willing to make decisions,
Right.
good or bad,
Right.
once it's in the best interest of the people of the Virgin Islands.
One of the earlier clips of ours that went viral was a clip about gentrification.
Yeah.
So, my question is gentrification an issue in the Virgin Islands? And if it is, how do we as Virgin Islanders combat it?
It's becoming a more and more issue. I mean, it has been a serious issue on St. John.
Right.
It's becoming an issue on St. Croix. My recommendation to anybody is that you don't sell property. Lease it. Even if you got to give a 99-year lease, that's wealth for your family. Do long-term lease, but don't sell. Because when you sell, it's gone. And if they want it bad enough, they're going to lease it from you. You could have a 50-year lease. If you're not here anymore, your chair will collect the money. But at the end of that time period, some part of your generation is going to assume the property back. So I would strongly encourage, don't sell. To include those individuals who own properties in Christian said, Frederick said, lease.
Definitely.
And force them to develop it. If they want it, they're going to develop it.
Definitely.
Because we got to be careful.
Definitely. Generational wealth 101.
101.
there.
Right.
All right. So my question is, and we could we got this question, and then we're gonna go into
The other side. Right.
currency exchange. So my question is, you running for senator this year. What do the people of St. Croix get with Court Vialet as a senator?
A strong committing individual who ain't scared of anything in terms of representation of my people. Somebody who can't be bought, somebody who's going to look out for everybody across the board.
Yes, sir. Respect. Respect.
So-
All right. You got this one?
No, you got it.
Okay, cool. So on the Caribbean Currency podcast, Caribbean Currency show, currency could be anything. Currency could be, we know it to be money. Currency could be love. Currency could be relationships. Currency could be knowledge. Currency could be time. If you had to choose what your currency would be, tell me what your most valuable form of currency is.
Love. When my
You see my
children,
shot? You see my
yeah,
shot?
when my children, I didn't even read that.
Ah.
When my children were small, and I used to joke around a lot with them, and sometimes they say, "Daddy, I want blah blah blah," and I used to tell her, "Listen, we live on love and water. You got plenty water, you got plenty love from your daddy. You don't need anything else.
Yeah.
Love and water." So up to now, when they ask me something and I just want, but I say, "Hey, what do we live on?" They say, "Love and water, daddy." But I really need this. but I believe we just need a love for each other, man. You know, we got to treat each other better, and we got to have respect for relationships and respect for family and just respect for the way that people are.
Definitely. Well, former Senator Vialet, we appreciate your time. You ain't had us at no time constraint. You sit on, you talk to us, you give to us real. We ask some tough questions, you answer, you didn't run from them. And we respect you even more than we respect you before you did this. And we just really, really want to thank you for giving us your time, your energy, and just granting us this interview. Because you could have said no. You know what I mean?
Well, you had some good people that convinced me. I don't know how you guys got in contact with my daughter, but she we have such a good relationship. She didn't really ask me to do it.
Yeah,
Right.
she tell you that.
She said, "Daddy, I have you scheduled. You're going to do this, and
Very
you
good.
need to do it." And she started giving the justification as to why I needed, and
Right.
Janella called and gave. But I think you guys are doing a good job in terms of providing a different perspective and information to the people of the Virgin Islands, because there's so much misinformation out there and disinformation. Misinformation is wrong. Disinformation is feeding you something that they know isn't right, but they feed into implanting it in your brain because they want you to think that way. And it's important when you have individuals that could differentiate and willing to literally ask hard questions and offer a perspective that is a bit different from those that just go along to get along.
Definitely.
So if you guys will go along to get along, people, I probably I'd have been out of here in an hour because I really don't have time for go along to get along.
Yeah.
But I could see that you want something different. So
Definitely.
I appreciate the fact that you guys invited me and happy to be here.
Yeah, and like I said in the beginning, just like a person don't have to become a legend when they die
Correct.
or when they finish the career. And we have a hard time in the Virgin Islands celebrating and appreciating legendary figures that are still amongst us. It's almost like if you elevate one person, it means you're making a person go down. No, we could elevate 1,000 of us. If you're doing something legendary, if you're being impactful and you have one of the most impactful careers in the Virgin Islands, from being an administrator in the school system, a principal, and being a senator that valiantly, the thing that made me gravitate to you is the passion in politics and your love for St. Croix. You know what I mean? And my stepfather is a Crucian. Well, he born St. Croix. You know what I mean? He's a Tobian when he needs to be.
Right,
And then when we're arguing,
a Crucian.
he's a Crucian. You know what I mean? And I've always known for a very long time how important St. Croix was to us. But unfortunately, when you're young and you're growing up in St. Thomas, there's a lot of sayings that go around that give you a impression that Crucians ain't really the best thing. And in the reality of it, one of my best friends who I do business with is Crucian. Dingo and Legends Long and all these fellows right here close to me, they're Crucians. A lot of things that are happening in my career and moving forward is manifested through Crucians. And I feel like that need to be shown and said and celebrated instead of having these conversations that make it look like a Crucian is a second-class citizen. I just love to have friendly banter back and forth. But I understand the importance of all three islands and our three people and how each one of us are placed in the society to make sure that we move forward. And you're one of the key cogs in the wheels that represent that. And I was really like adamant that we gotta get Vialet for me, because not just to have the conversation, but just so I could display to the community how impactful you is, the
And
things
how
you have done. And
passionate you are.
everybody might not agree with everything that you do.
And that's fine.
But no one can dispute the impact that you've had positively on the community. You know what I mean? And I just wanted to celebrate you and let you know that you're a Virgin Islands legend. You belong up there with King. You belong up there with Schneider. Like, you don't have to become governor. If you do, I hope that you do someday. But if you don't, you're on that pedestal in this generation, before me, now, and most likely after me. So thank you for coming on the show and really blessing us with your insight, being transparent, being vocal, and allowing the people of the Virgin Islands to really be part of a candid conversation. So I want to thank you for that.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Definitely. All right.
Yeah.
So we got a whole audience, and that's a wrap, guys. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Caribbean Currency on our platforms. We out of here. Peace.
Peace up.
Just need a big bag. I'ma get it so fast, I'm so fast. And when I get that money, I'ma make that last. Caribbean currency, we make that money last. We make it last. I just need a big bag. I'ma get it fast.